Lawrence Southern, the racist fascist, got kicked off the platform. We're going to chat about that in a few minutes. I left the volume thing to like literally the last few seconds. That was my bad. Hello, non-binary pals, guys and gals. How's it going? Welcome back to the Rogue Room. What's happening? I am in very, very tired, fatigued state right now because painkillers and my foot's sore. So, deal with it. But we are going to have a bit of a chat tonight about some stuff that has happened in recent days. Actually, the main thing I wanted to touch on actually, no, it did happen today. It actually did happen today. Okay, good. But there was another thing that happened like a day or two ago, which you may have seen. Anyways, how's everybody been? How's your day been? My day has been very, very uneventful. I've spent most of it editing a video or fucking around doing nothing. Because I can't do anything. I haven't been able to exercise, barely been able to walk anywhere. Sucks. It sucks. Hello, Elizabeth. Have I fulfilled my mum's prophecy? What's my mum's prophecy? What's that? What prophecy is it of which you speak? Have you folks been? Yeah, I feel boring because I haven't done anything. I feel uninteresting because I haven't done a whole lot today. But sit around. Oh, got a hair tie on my wrist. All right. Anyway, we are going to talk about some stuff. I've got some leftover news from yesterday, and there is some news from today that I want to talk about, specifically Australian news. What's going on? Like, oh no, I didn't break my leg. Don't worry. Anyways, excuse me. Did boxing Monday? It was fun punching your boss in the face, lots. Well, that's got to be good. That's got to be good. You know, actually, that's an interesting thought to start off on. You know, given how many members of society hold quite specific disdain for their boss, how often the concept of the boss is frowned upon, how often people will look at the boss character or the manager or whatever with scorn and side-eye. Why does it seem like there are so many people who are just regular old working types who are still very, you know, I don't know, like pro-capitalism, basically. Given, you know, you would think the observation of the power structure and how badly you're generally treated. Not every boss is bad, of course. But, you know, there's such a common thing that people hate their bosses and would like to punch them in the face. You know. And yet so many, it seems like just a lot of people who have that attitude. Oh, I lost my ring. Hold on. Let me get it back if I can. I've noticed quite a few of those when I've spoken to these people who hold this attitude of, you know, fuck the boss is an asshole. They're also the same kind of people that hold the attitude of, oh, if you don't have a job, you're a lazy asshole. Like, who is it? Is the ring okay? The ring is fine. We're all good. We still have trans power, although it's just blue. I don't know if there's a pride flag that's just blue. Maybe I should take the blue filter out of my light so you can see it properly. I don't know. It looks okay though. We're all good. You know, funny story, I actually dropped this in a public bathroom once, which was scary. It was kind of terrifying because I was in a public toilet and I took the ring off to put it in. Did I take it off to put it in my pocket or something? And I dropped it and it rolled out under the stall out into the main foyer area of the women's public toilets where there were other women using the facilities. Fortunately, nobody touched it. And I was able to just go retrieve it. No problems. Very awkward situation. Did I hear about Christian Porter? I heard that he got backbenched. I didn't hear much more than that. We should go over that. The Little Ring Adventure. Let's start with Christian Porter and then we'll go on to Lauren Southern. Or do we want to start with Lauren Southern? What do you feel like? Oh, by the way, I think... Did that work? Hang on a second. Let me try something. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to reload chat for just a second. Holy shit, okay. Tier 3 subs. That heart is now available as an emote. That just went straight through. Okay, so I guess my bit emotes didn't go straight through, but that heart did. There's our tier 3, I guess. I don't know. I had the tier 3 slot open. The trans heart will be the 10k bits emote. Which I know that sucks. I know it's a lot. That's $100 for an emote. That's not worth it. But I've got the emote slot, so I figure I'm going to put stuff in them. You know. I start with how a fascist got suplexed hard once again. Okay. Well, I mean, Christian Porter could arguably be considered a fascist. I don't know what his politics are like. So, but given, you know, his general disdain for anyone that isn't him, I don't know. Anyway, well, let's talk about this. I mean, I didn't watch the panel, of course. I try to generally avoid Lauren Southern if I can, because I know as much as you reasonably can without knowing all that much about her. But for those of you who are not aware, let me see if I can find it. I think I might have quote tweeted it. Let me see here. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, I posted this yesterday or early this morning, like 1 a.m. This might be the thing that drives me off the platform. Lauren Southern, a well-known alt-right commentator who has lots of very, very fashy viewpoints, right? Very extremely, what's it called? There's that phrase, xenophobic views, and obviously transphobic views, and all of these other things. She was invited to a debate panel called "Is Transgenderism," which is not a thing, by the way, a mental illness. Now, I'm just curious, like, what the phrasing there, like transgenderism. That's a weird title they've given it. That's not a word that any transgender person uses. It is not a technical or correct term at all, but that's not the point. She was invited onto this panel. She hosted it live on her Twitch stream, and then as of let me go back. As of today, so a few hours after I posted that tweet, she has been banned off Twitch. But unfortunately, as much as I would love to crab rave the fuck out of this and celebrate like crazy, because we don't need people on the platform with significant audiences. Like, she's got 380,000 followers on Twitter, which gives you a general indication that she is a platformed, well-known individual. I just think, you know, she was pulling in at least, there was a screenshot of like 500 roughly viewers watching the stream. And I just think primarily my first port of call here, and I applaud Twitch for acting quickly on this and shutting this down, even if it's only a temporary suspension. But quite frankly, the fact that trans people on Twitch very topically are being targeted by transphobic hate brigades, as it stands right now, we are faced with a seemingly ongoing hate raid problem, specifically targeting minorities, and trans people are one of the targeted minorities in this circumstance. Really just absolute dog shit timing, which is exactly what you could expect from a reactionary like this. So I have to give Twitch credit where credit is due for stamping this down. But the unfortunate thing is the stream did get to just happen and got to pull eyeballs to the platform, which means bringing more transphobes to Twitch. But yeah, like, it's just one of those things where we don't need it. We don't want it. There's no reason for cisgender people to be discussing what would you call it? To be discussing our right to exist, right? We are simply trans people. We are simply existing. And this is just that thing that I keep coming back to. It's like, you have no reason as a cis person to be debating our existence. I guarantee you, were there any trans people on that panel? I doubt it. I highly fucking doubt it. Okay? I'm just going to say, if they had a reactionary like Lauren Southern on their, chances are there were no trans people in there. There you go, Reaper. You know, are the cis okay? They're never okay. The cis are never okay because the cis only care about the cis. Well, generally. There are some good there are some good cis allies to trans people. Listen to 2-hour-long trans podcast today, so personally a bit burnt out on the topic for now. I can never be burnt out on this topic. Lupa, thank you for the hugs. I appreciate it. Alright, oh my god. Estrogen, what the fuck, dude? Titties. Sore. Anyway, continuing on, like I mentioned a moment ago, it looks like it's a temporary suspension for hate speech. And she says she was invited onto a panel discussing whether transgenderism, again, not a word. This is the thing, it's like, it's not a word, but, and neither is, like, say, you'll notice a lot of reactionaries will refer to trans women, especially, as trans women, one word, not a word. Because that's a way to, again, segment transgender women and transgender men from women and men, basically. So if they put it as one word, then it looks as though we are a separate group entirely, which is not the point. But yeah, transgenderism is just, it's not... I look at it and the first thing that comes to mind is racism. What other isms are there that I could think of that could probably relate to what she's going for here with that word? That word specifically, like it's not a thing any trans person uses. Transgenderism. Yeah, like I said, it sounds more like another word for transphobia to my mind. Let us never forget that this is the woman who was on a fucking boat in Europe trying to stop migrants coming into the continent, who is now a Twitch streamer. Yeah, exactly. Imagine that there's trans men. Oh, I know. I wonder if the debate panel actually included her talking about trans men at all. Do they ever consider that? Do they ever throw that into the mix? No, probably not. Wait. Means the anti-sister means are working and my tits are growing. Exactly. I won't deny that that's happening. But anyway. But yeah, like the main thing that irritates me more, I suppose, is that... Oh, hang on. Where is it? Let me find the actual tweet. This one. If we come back to this, the title of the panel is Transgenderism and Mental Illness. I had this thought before that I wanted to put into a tweet, but I couldn't quite get it out properly. I couldn't phrase it properly. But to effectively summarize the point that I wanted to make, by asking the question, is being trans a mental illness? And I've said this before on numerous occasions, they're effectively committing to two bigotries at once. Hey! Lemon.
I see you've brought guests.
Volume's way too loud now. Lemon, welcome in. How yous going? We're discussing the fact that Lauren Southern got banned off the platform, which is fucking great. Welcome in, Raiders. How'd your stream go? Tell us all about it. I feel like I should be recording this segment, but I don't know. Anyway, let me just turn my lights. So we got pretty lights. Here we go. Pretty lights. There we go. Check out some dumb selfies of me on Instagram as well while you're at it. Oh, welcome in. How'd the stream go? What'd you get up to tonight? Actually, it wasn't a long ass time ago, Reaper. It was only 2019. A couple of years ago that being trans or being transgender or however they phrased it was in the DSM, which is what the WHO categorization for mental illness, if I'm not mistaken. Playing some Draw.io playing with the community sounds fun. Yeah, it was only in 2019. So until then, being trans was considered a mental illness, or was considered some kind of psychiatric concern or what have you. Which is why, of course, in the modern age, there are certain parts of the world where it's incredibly difficult for trans people to get treatment, because they look at it. This is the problem. This kind of feeds well into what I was going to mention a moment ago. Is that when they ask the question, is being trans a mental illness? I'm not going to phrase it the way they have, is transgenderism. Fucking stupid. It's not a word. Is being trans a mental illness? What they're really trying to ask there, and you'll see this from so many alt-right types and far-right types, conservatives in general, this idea that being trans is a delusion and a denial of reality. So many people on the right look at trans people as though we are explicitly denying the biological reality of our bodies and thinking that if we transition, like let's just say I am obviously a transitioning woman, they believe that I believe that by transitioning I can somehow become a birthing woman and have real bloody menstrual cycles, and like they think that for some reason trans people are at that level of mentality that we are so detached from reality that we think we can transform our bodies into quite literally the effective opposite biological sex, which we're all like, I've never seen this argument from a trans person ever. What I have seen is numerous trans people asserting quite realistically that there are elements of our biology that can change. For example, estrogen and testosterone, my hormones. I have radically changed those. I have seen significant changes to my body as a result of stripping away the testosterone and replacing it with estrogen. There has been an impact there. You know, there are biological elements that can change. We've proven that. That is scientific. But tits, basically. We love a good pair of tits. And mine are great. They're real and they're spectacular. Even though I've got a fundraiser for titties, which I kind of want to stop doing, but I also want to keep fundraising. So who knows? Maybe that could be bottom surgery. I don't. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, specifically with this question, the way this panel is phrased, and everything that goes into it, is it's asking the question. It's not asking the question: is being trans a mental illness? They're essentially asking: are trans people delusional? And they're trying to... It's a question that nobody asks or needs to ask or nobody needs to discuss, is the thing. Mummy Milkies. Hello, Mia. How you going? Like, that's the thing, is it's a bunch of cis people asking a question nobody else wanted them to. Nobody else wanted these people to have this discussion. But, of course, people like Lauren Southern are aware of the fact that when they keep poking and prodding these hornets' nests, people are going to talk about it, which is the problem at the end of the day. And... now we've seen her account get suspended temporarily. At least Twitch, in my opinion, should ban her permanently. But yeah. Everyone loves tits except some trans guys. I feel like everyone still does love tits, generally speaking, honestly. I feel like everyone actually does love tits. Even trans guys, even gay guys. Tits are just great in general. I mean, of course, trans guys are gonna want to get rid of their own, but tits are still great, generally speaking. But yeah, this particular issue, I haven't even gotten this point across yet. I sort of have, but I sort of haven't. Like, I look at the is trans a mental illness thing, and yeah, like I said before, like as both a mentally ill person and as a trans person, I find it, you know, doubly insulting because it's... And this is the thing, somebody mentioned this point, is like by saying trans people are mentally ill, she's dehumanizing them, which she is. For the record. But she responded to this person, and I'd have to go searching for the tweet, and I'm not going to do that. But she said to this person, so are you saying the mentally ill are not human? They know what they're doing. She's well aware of the bullshit game she's playing, right? But that's not what the person asking the question, or the person posing that thought, was saying. They know that the alt-right look at the mentally ill as a drain on society. They look at them as subhuman. They don't outright state it, but they're always... anytime they're discussing mental illness, it's a derogatory. You know, anytime there's... no, but you are, yeah. Anytime they talk about mental illness, it's specifically in a demonic way. Like, when I say demonic, I mean demonizing. I mean, treating them as though they are lesser, right? So by asking the question... is being trans a mental illness, they're again adding that subhuman inference to trans people as well as the mentally ill. We know what their opinion on trans people is. We know what their opinion on the mentally ill is. You know. Hello, fans. How you going? And Phage, how's it hanging? Well, you were already here, though, weren't you? Believe Southern has gotten into university after she quit her career. She should have never been accepted into that place either. Yeah, no, exactly. Neurodivergent succubus gang, please forgive me, I'm not wearing my horns. They're retracted tonight. I will get them back out soon, though. They're really cool. I love them. But yeah, that's the thing I wanted to discuss with this. Because, like, no matter which way you swing it, and this really sucks as a neurodivergent person, as a mentally ill person who deals with, you know, severe autistic attacks and deals with anxiety attacks and depressive moods and all of this kind of stuff. It sucks to be in this mind state of moods and attitudes that are really sort of outside of your control, and you realize that that is a mental illness. Like, having, in my mind, okay, I have mental conditions like autism. I have mental... yeah, I'm gonna use the phrase mental condition. I have the mental condition of autism. But I also have... when I am going through a depressive episode, that is when I am mentally ill. Now, I know that's not probably the technical definition, but in that moment or in that period of experiencing, say, an anxiety attack or a a non-verbal autistic meltdown, or, yeah, like I mentioned, a depressive episode which can last up to several days. It's like having a cold, but it's all exclusively up here. It's all mental health issues, right? And that's what I would consider myself to be mentally ill. People don't want to be ill. People don't want to be sick, right? But my brain works in such a way that there are these periods where I am sick as a result of the mental conditions I have, right? And this is the issue, is that, like, when they ask the question, is transgenderism a mental illness? You know, when you're sick, when you've got a cold or a fever or whatever, when you've got a sore foot, it's not an illness, but, you know. When you're sick, you want to cure the sickness. You want to purge the sickness, get it out of your body, right? When I'm having one of those emotional episodes, I want to purge that from my body. I want to get that out of there and move on so I can get back to what else I was doing, you know? I can't do anything if I'm sick, right? I have to rest and recover and blah, you know? And get down from the sickness, pretty much. But what the question being posed here by Lauren Southern and everybody else on that panel who was asking that question is not specifically, is it a mental illness? Or, like, is it a mental condition or whatever? What they're implying with that question is, can we cure it? And the thing is, being trans and having gender dysphoria is a mental condition, right? And being trans is not. Transness is an identity, right? There's a separation there. And this is the problem, is that, like with everything, conservatives love to conflate two ideas that are actually connected but separate. Being trans is one thing, having dysphoria is one thing. Most trans people experience dysphoria, but there are people who experience dysphoria who are not trans. It's a whole thing, right? And the implication that they are stretching for when they ask, is transgenderism a mental illness, is really, is there a way we can cure this? But the reality is, with dysphoria, there's already a treatment. Transition is the treatment, right? Is the satisfactory treatment. But they would rather cure transness, i.e. put it over there and get rid of it, than just allow the treatments that already exist to continue existing. See what you're getting at, but I would say that as mentally ill, I can't think of any other way politely of saying you're having an episode. Not the best way to phrase it, but you see where I'm coming from. I think I get what you mean. Can't think of another way of saying politely you're having an episode. I'm confused by what... I'm kind of confused by what you mean. You see where this is going? Yeah. We've seen these kinds of things time and again. Sitting here with only 160 people. Reminds me of people thinking they can cure autism, which just shows they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because there isn't a cure. Yeah, exactly. There's no cure for autism. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. Oh, Cody, I just noticed. You redeemed nothing 6 minutes ago. So why am I even acknowledging it? You redeemed nothing. Why do I care? I'm going to just pretend I didn't see that because it's nothing. Alright? Anyway. But yeah, that's the thing that I personally face as an autistic person, as a trans person. Yeah, like there are some days... I appreciate the fact that I'm autistic. Right, I like maybe isn't the best word. But you know, I can appreciate my and other people's neurodivergence. There are probably autistic people out there who don't want to be autistic, who they look at those who are not autistic and they see the lives they are living and they become, like, I suppose you could say, envious of neurotypical people. But I still have the hypothesis that no one's neurotypical. There are just certain people who are better accustomed to the capitalistic society in which we live, which kind of categorizes us by these things anyway. Getting coffee radio, Izzy. Having an episode probably stems from the societal trivialization of the term trigger in a clinical sense. It's the best we got since we can't say we're triggered without being mocked, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I had an episode recently where I was quite literally triggered. You know, I was, in the realist sense, triggered by a traumatic event, you could say, that set off a non-verbal autistic meltdown. And I had to shut my entire house up and, like, turn all my lights off and sit in the corner in the dark to try to overcome this. I had to sensory deprive myself as much as possible. Because yes, I was quite literally triggered in that circumstance. It's awful. It's not something I would wish on anyone. But in that moment, or in certain times where there's a period of, like I mentioned before, like mental illness, actual, like having an illness response due to a mental condition you have. That's one of those times where it's like, right now I'm going through a really negative thing and I would like it to be over. In much the same way as when you're laid up in bed with a cold. You can't do anything. You feel like you're so weak. Thank you for the head pats, by the way, Raw. For me, most of my mental issues, quote unquote, stems from something that is different about me. But the reason I actually feel like shit about these is because society at large agreed. I feel anxious because I don't know if I can afford to eat next month. I only feel like I'm not enough of a woman because I know society won't acknowledge me as such. I only struggle with autism when people don't respect boundaries that should honestly be a no-brainer. Yeah, exactly. Reminds me of the way left-handedness was treated in the old days, and it's kind of strange. Yeah, like that's a perfect example, honestly. It's an absolutely perfect example of the way all of these things play out. There's no reason whatsoever to treat someone differently because they're left-handed. It doesn't affect anyone else, right? If you write with your left hand, it does not affect anyone else at all. Me being trans does not affect anyone else. Trans people existing does not affect anyone else but the trans person. And someone who's autistic, again, doesn't affect anyone else except the autistic person. I think they have come far in a way of understanding, but still not enough. So close, but so far. I mean, society abroad, yes, but alt-righters, no. Sounds like something Katie Montgomery was talking about, this exact topic on Transatlantic. I'll have to look into that. I love Katie. She's great. If you randomly go lurk without a word, don't worry too much. Period cramps might make you need to lay down for a minute. That makes sense. People are more cool with it than governments. That's why the battle is so hard. It's not just the governments as it is the commentators and this is the thing is, like, at the moment, trans discourse is such a prominent thing because there are literally billionaire funded commentators like Ben Shapiro and Joe Rogan and Steven Crowder and Lauren Southern and all of these other prominent conservative commentators, and especially people in the UK who are doing everything in their power to now repeal a competence law in the UK that will prevent trans teens from getting puberty blockers, which will also remove access to contraception for teenagers. So that's going to be a whole mess. So all of these things intersect. It's worth noting that these issues tend to cross over. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. It's like, it's not the issue necessarily that there are more members of society, generally speaking, that are accepting of trans people. And we have seen some data to suggest that, yes, people are generally more accepting of trans people. But that doesn't help anything when there are big, important commentators. I say important with regards to, like, their relevance to the conversation and thus their influence and thus their platform. Excuse me. Like, though society might generally be more accepting, if there are people with political power and influence who are making the decisions and driving the conversation, then it doesn't matter how many members of society actually care, because they're not the ones voting on bills and stuff. Yes, support from individuals can never be enough when compared to systemic support. Doubt that Cock? Is it Cock or Coke? I don't know. The Cock Bros. One of them's dead. I don't care. He's a little far right for them. He is funded by someone. He's funded by... I don't know who he's funded by, but he is definitely funded. Well funded. It's so bad in the UK because quite a few have convinced that they're not far right reactionaries. Yeah, exactly. This is the weird thing about especially the UK TERF movement, is there are so many of them who see themselves as leftists. Like, I have seen transphobes who are espousing outright fascistic narratives with regards to trans people who are still calling themselves leftists, like, explicitly. It's like, I consider myself and like, this is the funny thing, is that they consider themselves leftists except there are some who have explicitly stated, you know, I consider myself a leftist, but in order to get the kind of progress against this trans ideology, we had to side with the far-right Proud Boys. What? Being trans in the UK is so crushing. I do not envy my my UK trans friends. You know, I wish them all the best. It seems like it's an incredible struggle over there. Funds Dennis Prager, so Ben Shapiro isn't that much of a stretch. Oh god, Dennis Prager, fuck. I thought Prager was already a billionaire in his own right. I don't know. Hang on a sec. Needed the cube. The most useless word in the entirety of politics. I mean, this is actually not an, yeah, like, you're not wrong, I would say. Like, it's weird to say, I don't really explicitly consider myself a leftist because that definition is really awkward. Because there's so many people who've got this definition of a leftist or this definition of a leftist or whatever. And given that the left can be such a huge thing and interpreted in so many ways, it's like feminism. Getting so much buffering, you may lay down for a little while. Rightio, Ziwa. Rightio. And enjoy that new dress. It looks great on you, by the way. Ziwa got a cool dress. I'm envious. Yeah, Sargon still calls himself a leftist, so we shouldn't just go with it. Exactly. I consider myself a socialist. I consider myself... what? I don't know. Like, it's hard to define exactly what you are. Arachno-communist. People are allowing these commentators to dictate their own opinions so much, rather than looking at how those opinions are damaging to actual people. Exactly. Hello, Prince. How you going? I haven't actually looked at anything by Sargon, but I've heard many stories about how, like, he's dramatically pivoted in terms of his political viewpoints. Maybe I should look into him at some point. It feels when you call yourself a leftist and a classical liberal all at once. Feels like the British turfiness has filtered over to Australia quite a bit. There is actually something I wanted to talk about in that regard. Let's see if I can find it. There was something... Fuck, where is it? Because there is something that's going on in Australia at the moment that, yeah, is worrying about... I've mentioned my concern on several occasions that British turfism is going to export to Australia at some point. And there is something going on in Parliament. One Nation are trying to veer in the direction of restricting education of... basically the discussion of sex and gender, the distinction between sex and gender, and what gender really is and what biological sex really is. Let's see. It's here somewhere. Hang on. There is this. But there is this the article? Here we go. This one's from this month. I don't know if we discussed this already. This is from Star Observer. Anyway, I don't know how reliable this publication is, but anyway. So he's explicitly stated that he's white ethno-nationalist according to Vorsh. Oh, really? Well, that's not good. We know that. But anyway, there is this. This is the only article I could find so far. If someone's got a more recent one. But this is as of this month, so this is a relevant recent update. So New South Wales Parliament Committee endorses One Nation MLC Mark Latham's anti-trans bill. New South Wales Parliament's Education Committee, which inquired into Pauline Hanson's One Nation MLC Mark Latham's anti-trans education bill, has made a series of recommendations that LGBTQI+ rights advocates have said a direct attack on the safety of trans and gender diverse young people in schools. Youth would have been the word I'd use there, but anyway. I shouldn't nitpick about grammar and spelling all that much, I know. Activists have said that the report on the Education Legislation Amendment, Parental Rights Bill 2020 proposed by Latham include recommendations that, if enacted, would erase the rights of trans students and out them to their parents. Equality Australia has launched a tool for people to write the Premier, and we can have a look at the bill here. Well, not the bill, we can have a look at this petition to stop the bill, which Every student in New South Wales should have the opportunity to reach their potential, to learn with their peers, and to feel a sense of belonging in their school. But One Nation's New South Wales Education Legislation Amendment, Parental Rights Bill 2020, harms trans and gender diverse students by denying their existence and preventing teachers and counsellors from supporting them. It allows parents to withdraw their child from a class or program which tells them LGBTIQ. Why do we keep changing the acronym? Just like everyone else. The bill would prohibit schools from teaching that trans and gender diverse people exist and should be treated with respect, prohibit school counsellors from affirming a trans or gender diverse student or providing them with any support or referrals to gender affirming support, put teachers at risk of losing their job when they support a trans or gender diverse student in affirming their identity, enshrine biological fallacies and describe intersex people as disordered, and allow parents to deny their children access to lessons in public schools which may contradict their political, social, or personal values, including their views about LGBT people. LGBT plus community, yeah, they're like that. So anyway, so we'll come back, so that basically covers it. The committee that looked into the bill was also chaired by Latham. So the bill... Let me come back. There was an inquiry into the bill, into Pauline Hanson's One Nation anti-trans bill. The committee that looked into the bill, so the committee doing the inquiry, was chaired by Latham himself. The other members of the committee were Wes Fang from the Nationals, Liberal Party MLCs Catherine Cusack and Scott Farlow, Labour MLCs Anthony D'Adam and Courtney Husos, and Greens MLC David Shoebridge. Yeah, the inquiry was chaired by Latham himself. Labour MLC Anthony D'Adam, I don't know, and Greens MLC David Shoebridge, is it Shoebridge or Sheebridge, pick one, were the only committee members to oppose the report. Harmful piece of legislation. So this is Shoebridge's actual thing. To the young transgender people who have had the misfortune to be exposed to this bill and the inquiry around it, I want to assure you, you are not alone. The Greens New South Wales will join with all those who will fight against this bill. This report is a sham and an embarrassment to the New South Wales Parliament. It ignores a great majority of the evidence before the committee that staunchly opposed the bill. The report, such that it is here. Mark Latham can suck his own dick too. Seems like it would have a difficult chance of passing, but you never... Yeah, this is the thing that worries me. It's like, how sure are we that this wouldn't pass, you know? Generally speaking, when it comes to the acronym, even LGBTQIA+, etc., I just tend to gravitate towards queer because it seems like it's an umbrella term that covers all options. At least in my view, the way I've seen it, it seems like it covers all gender diverse people. D'Adam in his dissenting statement said that the proposed bill was a harmful piece of legislation that will do real and lasting damage to our education system. Under the umbrella of parental primacy, it gives license to parents to undermine the efforts of teachers and principals to make schools welcoming and safe learning environments for these kids who are gender diverse, said D'Adam. Shoebridge said the bill should be consigned to the dustbin of history as the last throes of a transphobic right-wing politics that has no place in our society. This part is what scares me the most. For trans kids especially. Outing trans students to parents, right? Among the parental primacy provisions that the committee has endorsed are recommendations that would make it near impossible for trans and gender diverse students to confidentially come out to their school teachers or school counselors. The report has recommended that school staff should be required to inform parents about the gender or gender transition of a student at the school. The only exceptions are when there is a court order or advice from the government, I suppose, Government Child Protection Agency. The report also endorses provisions that will bar high school trans students from participating in sports teams that align with their gender, and only trans girls who have undergone full medical transition would be allowed to use female toilets or facilities. So that's that's basically saying trans girls in high school are going to be forced to use the boys' toilets no matter what, because no trans high schooler is getting gender confirmation surgery, period. That's not happening. The report also endorses, I mean, I'm assuming that's what they mean, full medical transition. Yeah, it's literally a bathroom bill. So yeah. It goes beyond that, but anyway. The report further says that students aged below 18 can participate in LGBTQI plus student sport groups at schools only if they have been granted consent by their parents. This freaking edit your articles, please. Bill likened to Thatcher era, Clause 28. Just Equal Australia spokesperson Dr. Charlie Burton said that the Latham's bill echoed the Thatcher-era Clause 28 in Britain from the 1980s that forbade local authorities and schools from promoting homosexuality. Yeah, please don't promote heterosexuality. We have enough of that shit, thank you. The report's endorsement of One Nation's bill, the most anti-LGBTIQA plus, the most anti-queer legislation introduced in Australia this century. It is a shameful day for the New South Wales Parliament, said Dr. Burton. It's an echo of the Thatcher-era Clause 28 in Britain. The One Nation bill introduced by Mark Latham seeks to erase trans and gender-diverse young people from schools and to make life harder for all queer youth, added Dr. Burton. Please actively cancel heterosexuality. I think the editing was bad here. Fuck. Does it get worse? God damn it. Yeah, they can't even get on HRT. I don't know. I think trans kids in Australia can get on puberty blockers, but I'm not certain. Anyway, New South Wales government and opposition should reject report. Equality Australia called on the New South Wales government to reject, and the opposition, to reject the report. We already know that almost 1 in every 2 trans and gender diverse young people will attempt to take their own life. Do they have to keep bringing that up? I mean, I know it's relevant, but Jesus Christ, they're feeding a narrative here when they say that shit. And you could just mention deal with severe harassment as a result of being trans that leads to mental health issues or something. And many are subjected to bullying and unfair treatment at school. If these policies were implemented, they would make schools even less safe and place trans students' lives at risk, Anna Brown, CEO of Equality Australia, said in a statement. Many queer young people don't grow up in supportive households that affirm and accept them for who they are, so it is vitally important to their well-being that they are able to safely and confidentially disclose to a school counsellor or teacher if they are questioning their gender or sexuality, said Brown. Under severe distress, yeah. Brown said it was time the New South Wales government stood up to Latham and asked the Parliament to vote the bill down. Under the guise of a discussion of parental rights in education, which is always the way these things are framed, by the way, Mark Latham has orchestrated a dangerous and irresponsible airing of anti-trans views and now proposes to amend policies to put the lives of trans and gender-diverse youth at risk. If put in place, these policies would be a dereliction of the duty of care that schools owe to their students and inconsistent with their legal obligations under federal and New South Wales anti-discrimination laws. So we're getting there. Australia's catching up. We're getting there, folks. We're catching up to the UK and the US with the transphobia in the government. Shit. Fuck. God damn it. What's wrong with this camera? Why are you're not correctly positioned? There we go. Hey, how are you? Hey, Gorge. Yeah. We're talking about that. We're talking about that stuff, Amanda. I'm not traveling to Canberra for anything. You'll just pay someone else to piss on the grave. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's already so challenging to be trans without this shit. Roughly 18-month wait at gender clinics here in Melbourne. Wait, seriously? Fuck. I feel like I lucked out. I feel like I have a lot of privilege for having transitioned and having had the... what's it called? I've had very good fortune with at least getting on HRT, went to my GP, then I went to an endocrinologist. No, GP, psychologist, back to GP, endocrinologist, got on HRT within a couple of weeks of coming out. So yeah, I got like extreme privilege in this circumstance, It feels like. I don't know what the situation seems to be a little bit messy in different parts of the country with regards to medical transition. And I can only imagine, because given there are definitely a lot of places in Australia where being trans would be frowned upon, I think. It's still, there are still so many people that just look upon the idea of transness as dude in a dress. It's a dude that looks, dude looks like a lady, pretty much, or whatever. When Pauline Hanson kicks the bucket, there's going to be a queue 10 kilometers long to piss on her grave. So where are we? Given that my girl's a teacher, I can safely say if they tried to make her out a trans student, she'd rip them a new asshole and I'd be cheering her on. Hell yes. Rip 'em. Rip 'em. Rip and tear until it is done. Anyway. Unfortunately, politicians don't take mental health seriously, no. Because they benefit from a system of people who are not mentally well taken care of. Politicians do. When they say medical transition, I'm assuming they mean genital transition. Genital confirmation surgery. So full medical transition. Because other stuff like, say, breast augmentation or top surgery is not considered necessary, although any trans person who wants to get those surgeries will affirm to you that, yes, it is necessary. But anyway. Ferociously protective of the kids she teaches and would never put a kid at risk that way. Had my sexologist, yes, they need a diagnosis first, tell me to come back 2 months later, and then we can start a 1-year RLT before getting HRT and mandatory castration. 2 months is long gone now, but he was on holidays and now is sick. Fucking hell. Why is it so hard? I can see why so many trans people end up self-medicating to deal with this situation, because fucking Christ, dude. Those aren't considered necessary by the UK or Australia? No. Bottom surgery is considered, I guess, medically necessary for trans people under current transition, what do you call it, transition procedures. But it's still going to set you back a pretty penny. It's not going to be something you'll be able to pay for easily and effortlessly. But as far as I know... Actually, there was an interesting thread about this. This is not maybe specifically pertaining to Australia, but there was an interesting point made, and I think we discussed this last night. Somebody posted about how they had a broken nose a few years ago. It was affecting their sleep. They got sleep apnea from it. And because they were transgender, right, they organized with the plastic surgeon, oh, I'd like to come in and get my nose, I'd like to get a rhinoplasty, I'm ready to pay for it and all this. Just want to, get it all sorted, get it done, but to fix my nose and to fix my sleep apnea problem, like not me, them. And they said once they got to the clinic, they asked her if she was trans, she confirmed it, and then they said, oh, sorry, you'll have to come back after you get 2 letters from like a psychiatrist or psychologist and other medical practitioners or something. It's like, what? Like they were weirdly gatekeeping this rhinoplasty because it was considered to be a transition-related surgery, and thus they needed some kind of sign-off on it. It's... I don't know. The gatekeeping around trans surgeries is so unusual. It's so bizarre. Technically, GRS is under psychiatrics. Insurance will cover some, and so will Medicare, but it only brings a 30k surgery down to like 18k. Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be cheap. Bigots are super creative sometimes. They really do be, though. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, I think any kind of, like, let's just say, for example, top surgery for a trans man might be the same kind of situation. It's like it's just a double mastectomy, which, as far as I know, is just elective other than if you medically need it, you could be expedited. But as far as I know, like, a cis woman can get a double mastectomy. If I want to get my pronouns and my name officially changed or go on hormones, I have to wait 2 years under psychiatrist supervision, during which any mental health problems can disqualify me, which is absolutely fucked. And this is exactly the reason that we continue to on this crusade for trans rights, because top surgery isn't required. Australia, small-breasted women aren't women; they're kids. Yeah, I've heard that attitude peddled before. It's so wild to me. Federal's insurance. I mean, I don't know about private insurance, but at least Medicare, as in the socialized healthcare system that we have here in Australia, doesn't fully cover it. It does cover some of it, though. Welcome back, Izzy. They make you keep off HRT for 6 weeks, even though a new study says you don't have to do that. Getting off HRT isn't needed for a breast augmentation. That's weird, then, yeah. I don't know what the systems are. I'm worried if I ever need to go for surgery, because like I simply cannot afford to get any of the surgeries that I want to get. At least, we're working on one, but what was I saying? Yeah, I do worry if I ever need to approach my doctor about getting surgery done, that I might be faced with those kind of gatekeeping issues. But the thing is, as far as I'm aware, I'm not 100% certain on this, honestly. As far as I'm aware, I don't know if I confirmed with them at the breast augmentation clinic when I was in communication with them. I think I did, actually. There's a point on the form where you sign up, and it's like, what are you getting? So what's your particular situation with regards to gender, right? And they ask, are you male, female, transgender, male to female, transgender, female to male, etc. So they actually do ask that question at the plastic surgeons. And I put in trans MTF, of course. And I wasn't confronted with any further questions about that, so maybe where I am, at least specifically, it might be okay. I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky area to traverse. Anyway. Luckily, your surgeon is open to data. Well, that's good. That's good. That's what we want. At any rate, yeah. Shall we move on to Christian Porter? Yeah, I feel like I really lucked out for some reason with regards to the whole transition thing. It was easy for me to get on HRT. It seems like it'd probably be easy for me to get my surgeries done. Easy being relative, given I don't have the income for it. You know. Surgeons and docs here have been amazing. Well, that's good. That's why I think it's like important to keep perspective on these things. You know, I've had a really relatively good time of it. I haven't had much stress with it. So, you know, I think it's important to keep a close eye on what's going on in trans healthcare. If you have to get off HRT, you'll go nuts, which I don't have anymore. Educate your doctors and see if they listen. I mean, that's the important thing, right? Is that a lot of doctors are not explicitly going to be all that knowledgeable about transition, necessarily. This is why, like, at least here in Australia, there are a few websites you can go to which will explicitly tell you what medical personnel are trans-friendly. So if you are looking for a GP or an endocrinologist or whatever who is specifically trans-friendly and will help you with your transition, there are places online you can... There's a specific website I'm thinking of, but I can't think of what it's called at the moment. And you go on there and it'll actually... You put in, like, your location... And it'll outline to you the nearest medical professionals that are known to be trans-friendly and will treat trans patients. So, you know. But yeah, like, it wouldn't shock me if, like, say, most GPs, for example, wouldn't necessarily know 100% of everything relating to trans healthcare, of course. And you can't deny the fact that, of course, certain medical staff are going to have innate political biases against trans people for whatever reason. They might look at it as the mental illness thing that we were talking about earlier. It was easy to get on HRT for you, easy to get approved for progesterone, but surgery has been a nightmare. They want a face-to-face consultation during lockdown. Yeah. Dog training. Try just searching up Trans Healthcare Australia or something. There is, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, throw in a $300 consultation fee with no rebate. Yeah, exactly. TZ lockdown. And like, it might be Trans Hub. Yeah, it might actually be Trans Hub, which... When I was starting my transition, actually, a really good friend of mine helped me find that website, I think. Because I didn't know what to look for. I don't know how Google works. But anyway. 300 is literally a third of my entire fortnight's income. Yeah. This is the thing. In order to get proper... In order to get the healthcare that trans people need, we have to spend a lot of money. And in that regard, it becomes this thing of like being able to medically transition comes across as a very privileged thing. Like there are a lot of places throughout the world that will punish you for being transgender. There are a lot of places in the world where you can face jail time or even a death penalty for being any sort of queer. So at the very least, we have to look at the fact that we can medically transition and be like, oh, well... Got to put it in a little bit of perspective. But even then, you know, we look at the trans healthcare options we have and they are still so incredibly gatekept because the powers that be are not comfortable with us. And they need to have some sort of minority to keep downtrodden. So they do everything in their power to maintain that power. Which is exhausting, you know. I'm trying to think. There was a thought I had that latches onto this. And the reasons you can have the required insurance for GRS, which is $100 a fortnight, isn't because I have good income, just a steady one. Oh, okay. Which is still, you know, it's better than nothing. But, yeah. The thing that irritates me with regards to talking about trans healthcare specifically is the fact that when we are arguing for trans rights, healthcare is, of course, a part of that. And when we say we want trans healthcare, like under Medicare, there are so many things that are covered. There are so many things that are covered by Medicare that feel just, I guess we kind of take them for granted, but that's kind of also the point, is that, like, we should be allowed to take our healthcare for granted. We should be allowed to get medical treatment for anything without having to send ourselves broke to cover it, which is what happens in the US, obviously, with their shitty healthcare system. Hi, gay. I'm Dad. Hey, broken. How's it going? And where was I going with this? Yeah, like, okay, so like we look at how Medicare is in Australia, and yeah, it's a big privilege to have that universal healthcare system. But you come across things like transition-related healthcare, and you realize how inadequate it is in certain ways. Or like you look at transition-related healthcare in somewhere where things are a lot worse, like the US, for example, or where places like the UK, where they're actively trying to repeal trans healthcare, especially for trans teenagers with puberty blockers and such. And you realize, when people are like, oh, what rights don't trans people have, right? They don't. Those people are sort of trying to color the image in from their own cisgendered experience. They don't know what it is to deal with those kinds of medical confrontations. And the fact that if you try to pursue medical care as a trans person, it's going to end up being either incredibly costly or very, very gate-kept, or both, or what have you. And also, yes, safety, homes, health, basic rights, exactly. There's still a lot of innate prejudice towards trans people in society, where it's harder for trans folks to find jobs. It's, there's a lot of places where trans people can't go, even in those countries I mentioned where being trans is technically legal and we're not at any risk or whatever. But there's still a lot of places in the world, a lot of towns here in Australia, most likely, that I could end up going to and might have to worry about being bashed for being transgender, if they were to know. I mean, they could clock me, who knows. But yeah, like, I think everybody has the right to not feel as though they are going to be targeted, like you've mentioned, Forlorn, for discrimination and violence. That's one thing that's never considered when those particular people say, what rights don't trans people have? It's like, well, has a cisgender person ever been the victim? Has a cisgender heterosexual person ever been the victim of a hate crime predicated solely on the fact that they're straight and cis? I don't think so. Already been hate crimed in Dandenong before, exactly. When I go back to the country to visit my folks, I'm often scared. And you shouldn't be. That's the thing, is like, we shouldn't have to face that fear for simply existing as we are. Current health minister who fucked up the vaccine rollout said in his maiden speech in 2002, Greg Hunt said he wants an American-style healthcare system. Oh, fuck. Exactly. So glad Bell v. Tavistock had absolutely destroyed in court. The transphobes who want to move on to attacking Gaelic competence are going to have a much harder time pretending to be feminists. Yeah, exactly. Like, the fact that they immediately moved on to that because they know that Gaelic competence was used in the appeal, at the very least, so that, teenagers are able to have the capacity to think for themselves and make their own medical decisions. They're going to go after that, which is only going to end up hurting even more people. And I don't think... I want to be optimistic and think that in that regard they're not going to have any success. I think the Supreme Court in the UK are going to shoot them down and just be like, no, fuck off. Fingers crossed that's the way they react, but I don't know. I don't want to derail this stream, but he said some really disgusting things. Exactly. Yeah. Scott isn't going to fix anything and people refuse to believe it. Oh, yeah. Scott's a dickhead. Scott Morrison's a dickhead. Is that what you're talking about? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Oh, anyways. That's often... Yeah, what was it? What was the tweet that I think it was Lara posted, right? It's often people who've got all the privilege in the world asking marginalized people what rights they don't have. And by the same token, when you confront them on the fact that they have explicit privilege and they are using that privilege to talk down to marginalized people, those same people will say, oh, what privileges do I have? They think we actually do live in an egalitarian society and that there are no real issues affecting minorities. They simply refuse to understand the issues at play. Americans don't want an American style healthcare system. Yeah, exactly. That's another funny thing, is like Americans want socialized healthcare. You present socialist ideas to the layperson and you don't frame it under the guise of socialism, most people are going to agree with socialist ideas. Right? The vast majority of people are going to agree with socialist ideas that benefit everyone. I still hold this viewpoint. The only reason people would disagree is when it's framed under the guise of this is a socialist thing and socialism's evil and communism's evil and all of these kind of things. Communism destroyed Cuba or whatever, even though it was, American intervention that had an impact there. But yeah, like, where was I going with this? Yeah, like if you frame socially, if you frame socialist policies to a person, to most people, they're going to agree with it. But you just need to take the socialist part out of it. You need to argue the point from the perspective of, well, here's this system that I think should work for people. I reckon there should be no homelessness, for example. I reckon rent should be low enough that anyone can rent, anyone can have a roof over their head. There are enough houses in this country. They're building more houses all the time, and yet there are still people living on the streets, still people living in homeless shelters, still people sleeping on couches in their friend's place, and all of that can't find a place to live. Why can't we lower the rent prices? There's no reason that the rent needs to keep going up other than to keep a very specific subset of people wealthy. They have a perpetual outlook of my reality is everyone's reality, so because I don't suffer needlessly, the people who claim to suffer needlessly are lying. Reminds me of, I watched a Vorsh video today, don't cancel me, where he was reacting to this wealthy woman, seemingly wealthy woman, I don't know, some rich white Karen, yeah, I know, I used the Karen word, who was talking to a recipient of DACA, which is a thing in what is it? It's an American thing, let me look it up. Deferred action for childhood arrivals is a U.S. immigration policy that allows some individuals with unlawful presence in the United States after being brought to the country as children to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation and become eligible for work permit. So basically, the thing was this girl was licensed for that explicit content. But anyway, what was going on? It's like there's this rich white woman who's a citizen of America, and this girl who's receiving DACA and has lived in the country her entire life, or, well, I think she said she lived in there her entire life. Hang on. Sorry, I think my speakers are bugging out. Anyway, his very fucked up take things a little too far. Well, I don't know which of those specifically. But anyway, what were we talking about? Let me think. So this woman is referring to this girl who is facing, deferred action for childhood arrivals. So let's go through this for a second. And this woman is making all of these. So like the young girl who's receiving DACA, who is deferred action from deportation and become eligible for a work permit in the U.S. Hey!
Thank you for continuing your membership. 4 months, and your lighting is only getting better. You are a delight,
thank you so
and
kindly.
I appreciate what you do.
I appreciate that. But anyway, where were we? So, basically, there was a good point in the video where the woman in particular, I don't know how I got onto this tangent, but anyway, where the Karen, the older white woman, who obviously has a problem with immigrants, is trying to tell this young girl who's come to America and is studying in America and is trying to find work in America. She wants to come to America or she wants to continue living in America because it's where she belongs. It feels like it's where she belongs. She doesn't feel like she belongs in her home country because, as far as I recall, she'd lived in America most of her life. And then this older white woman is trying to tell this kid and infer that this kid should start some kind of movement to make things better in Mexico, for example, where she comes from. And completely just ignoring all the reasons why this girl would want to stay in America, where things are arguably better for her and her family and all of that. But it's kind of ridiculous how detached certain people are, thinking that, you know, they've got these viewpoints where it's like, oh, it's just so easy for you to go and fix the problems you have in your life. Because I, a privileged, wealthy person, I don't have these problems, so clearly it mustn't be that hard to solve all these issues. You know, it's quite ridiculous. Great communicator, but you started to notice a few things you'd call questionable, but it's just small comments you assume are meant as a joke. That's where things get a bit iffy, isn't it? It's like, how far do we allow jokes to be taken? Like, how far do we consider, at what point does a joke stop being a joke, you know? I was on the Riverboat Jack stream just before, I didn't get cancelled for it. Yeah. Italiaphobia. What comment though? Hello Gulpy, how you going? Yes, exactly, T, that's perfect. Like the people who are against accepting more Afghan refugees because they should have fought harder against the Taliban. It just goes to show they do not understand exactly what's going on. And it comes around to like the age-old argument that we keep bringing up here, don't say it. But the bootstraps thing, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, is a very, very common notion among people who've already got it made. People who've already got a ton of wealth and privilege underneath them. And as a result, they look at anybody else and the thing is, they don't realize that privilege and wealth got them into privilege and wealth. Their stuff is generational. It comes from existing members of family or existing members of your social circle, allow you to be elevated, socially speaking. Not everyone has that same level of social momentum. They simply don't. But those people who have, you know, put in all the hard yards, nobody gave me anything, and look at where I am now, I got my own business. They legitimately think everybody has that opportunity. They legitimately think everybody has those connections. Everybody has the capacity to do those things. And anyone who doesn't is just lazy and is just complaining, without realizing the significant barriers that most people in poverty especially face. You know, and then you factor it, like poverty is like step number one in this circumstance. There are so many people that can never get out of poverty because they were sort of either born into it or fell into it. And it's an incredibly deep and dark pit and very, very, very difficult to get out of. And then on top of that, you've got identity related things, which hold a ton of people back based on their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, their ability, and so on. Cheese pizza comment. Oh, okay, cheese pizza. Yes, okay. I remember that one. My speakers are acting weird. I'm just gonna like... Hang on. Okay, it's alright. It's okay. Yeah, it took me a second. I thought you were like legitimately referring to cheese pizza, and it's like, well, the way I understand the cheese pizza thing is that he was arguing. What was he arguing? I can't remember, but it was something to the effect of like, it's not ethically any better to be. Fuck, I can't remember. I don't know. He was basically arguing that, you know, all child slave labor bad, obviously, and there are so many things in capitalistic Western society that we take for granted that are built on the backs of child slave labor, regardless of what it is. No, I can't believe. Yeah. No more of that joke. Still don't understand what being cancelled is, because it's basically nothing substantial. People that enjoy his content won't leave him. Others might. Yeah. Like, being cancelled is not a real issue. It's really not a real issue. Anyone who's already got a platform and has already got a following and has already got significant support in other avenues, has got significant privilege in other avenues, cancelling is not going to ruin them. You know, it's a really silly bit of nonsense. At best, they're going to face some online harassment, probably. But even then, facing that online harassment often leads to often becomes an avenue for them to bounce off that and go even further. You know? There's a psychology thing about how people don't notice tall winds but notice headwinds. Also, it's raining. Where were we? They probably don't want to understand either. It's an easy shield when you know you're kind of an asshole, but don't want to do the hard work of acknowledging that you're in a position of privilege. Exactly. Exactly. Excuse me. Because people who actually made it their own way never say anything like that. Precisely. Yeah. What's the other great one that we see all the time? It's like this young couple has just what is it? Somebody buys a new house, or somebody does this, or somebody does that. Where it's like, they did it all themselves. And then you read the article and it's like their mother died and they received a significant will income or whatever it is. It's like, oh yeah, you did that all by yourself, did you? Or like, I started my own business with nothing. All I had to do was live in my millionaire parents' house for 6 months while I set it up and had all these connections. It's like, I hate those feel-good stories that we see all the time. I really fucking hate them. It's ridiculous, and all it does is serve to make you feel worse about yourself. Really, I'm just gonna say it right now. I fucking hate feel-good stories because they just make me feel shit about my condition, about my situation. You know, that it's hypocritical that we're so grasped by the horror of CP, but ignore the child abuse all over the world facilitated by capitalism. That's basically it. Yes. Sounds like some ethical consumption under capitalism topic in discussion. Yeah, this is like where things get tricky about the discussion of ethical consumption under capitalism, or there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, because this is one of the major issues that we have here. Is like, we live in this society and didn't choose it, right? We didn't make the decision to be born here in the Western world where all of that stuff already existed without us. And in the conditions under which we live, we have the option to protest individually, like say by going vegan, or by not consuming certain products, or only trying to buy clothes from ethically sourced brands and all of this kind of stuff. Like, we have options, and that itself is a privilege, to be able to resist that kind of thing. But I've got a gaming PC, which is most certainly built off the backs of child slave labor. So, you know, yeah, voting with your wallet. But the unfortunate predicament there is that it seems to me personally, there are a lot of poor people that I've met throughout my life who really want to go the ethical route. They really want to go the route of, like I mentioned, the veganism or vegetarianism or whatever. It's like they want to not consume things they know are unethical. And the issue is, the moment you start going down that route of, I'm going to only buy the ethical things, you come across a significant financial barrier. A lot of those alternative options are much more expensive for a reason, because they don't have as much of a consumer base, so they can't afford to make their things cheap. So yeah. Except eating the rich. That's okay. If we consume the rich, then it's fine, yes. Vote with your wallet, and by wallet we mean bank accounts with millions, yeah. Like, this is why it's kind of needless. Like like I've mentioned several times before, I don't play big AAA games. Generally speaking, I avoid them. But this is the same kind of thing, like the vote with your wallet thing about video games. I don't buy Activision Blizzard video games because obviously I hate Activision Blizzard and everything they stand for and everything they've put their workforce through, and all of the abuse, both there and Ubisoft and numerous other big brands. Just generally speaking, I don't trust the AAA games industry, but at the same time, you know, industry abuse among the games industry is not just at the AAA level. It seeps down through mid-tier game companies and indies and all of that as well. We've heard of abusive indie devs before. So, you know, that's another facet of that entire thing, you know. Feel-good stories can also be used to not fix systemic problems. This disadvantaged minority is self-made, therefore all other disadvantaged minorities just need to work hard. I especially feel this about when it comes to autistic disadvantaged minorities. Like using that phrasing. When it's an autistic person who's doing really well, that especially rubs me the wrong way. Because it feels as though my specific brand of autism has left me in a state where I just don't understand most of the things I feel like I'm supposed to understand at my age. There are so many facets of society, so many things that go on in my life that I feel like, everyone else gets this. Everyone else understands this. It took me until I was like 26 or 27 to get my fucking driver's license. I feel so far behind the bell curve. That's not the right word. I feel so far behind everybody else. Like, I feel like I'm held back in some ways. That when I see some incredibly inspiring autistic person invented some amazing thing that's going to change the world, I'm like, fuck off. That's not the rest of us. So far behind the 8 ball? Sure, one of those. I don't know. I look at it and I'm like, piss off. We can't do that, and I remember Vorsh touched briefly on this, telling chat, come on guys, while I'm all for this topic, I know you lot like to speak a lot of this, but don't walk the walk, stop it, chat. I think he had a pretty good point. And of course, victims care more about their own trauma than that of other third world children, yeah. I don't want to deliver junk mail because I'm basically giving people ads that'll just joke directly in the meme, but I don't have the ability to opt out, yeah. That's the thing. It's like a lot of people really fucking hate their jobs, which is, I think this is how we started this conversation, basically. I think this is basically how we started, was because we were discussing the idea of how there are so many people in jobs who hate their bosses and yet simultaneously have the attitude of, what's it called? Simultaneously have the attitude of like, oh, anyone who doesn't have a job is a lazy piece of shit. Or whatever. Anyway. Veganism is indeed privilege-based, saying as a vegan. Sure, you can do it cheaply, but vegan foods are not supplemented like the meat and dairy industry. The whole thing is gross. Fruit and veg should be supplemented. I agree. I 100% agree. And also, like, what was I going to say here? Even veganism is not entirely, like, this is the thing. This comes back around to the no ethical consumption under capitalism thing. I do agree with the the tenets of veganism on the basis that you are fighting back against systemic animal abuse, right? That seems to be the main takeaway from veganism for me. Is it's like I look at it and I appreciate the cause, even if I personally just feel like I don't have the willpower to commit to it. I really would like to go plant-based completely, but yeah, that's a whole thing. It's a whole tricky bit of business. But even amidst some of the common vegan foods out there, that comes back around to the child labor thing. There are still certain foods, certain crops that are picked in certain countries that make it onto grocery store shelves that are vegan, but they're using child slave labor to do it, or just slave labor in general. So I think it was like beans and lentils or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway. Love that I've been trying for jobs for months and no one wants to hire me, but no, I'm being lazy. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, this is the issue that I have, especially with the, oh, you're just so lazy, go get a real job, all that kind of thing. There aren't that many jobs as well. There are a lot of people who are unemployed because there's just not, the jobs don't exist. And the jobs that do exist are too outside of the, too unreasonable for most people to try to go for. And some illnesses aren't curable, at least with that current level. True. You treat the symptoms and the root cause as well. Both of you are only seeing one side of the same issue. I agree with most of you have been saying. So I kind of have missed a bit of your conversation in there, you two. I'm a vegan and I eat garbage. You can eat like trash as a vegan if you want. It's allowed. You can do it. Last I checked, it was 12 people per available job. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and your only other option is to try to make it individually. Start your own business or start your own, become an entrepreneur of some kind or start up like an online store or something like that. And if you pursue those things and if you pursue them to their logical conclusion of becoming a career, people will still treat it as though it's not a real job. Like, I have to consider my content creation a real job these days because I make money off it. I had a recent Twitch payout like a week ago. Like, Twitch paid me money. This is technically a job. Doing this is technically a job. Doesn't pay as well as some other real jobs might, but for all intents and purposes, being on Twitch and having a Patreon and a coffee and all those kind of things is a job for me. If the way we define a job is you do something, you get money for it, arguably, But that comes around to the whole discussion of what constitutes a real job, right? Because there are a lot of people who would look at something like this and think it's not a real job. But, you know, I've seen some streamers who are my size playing video games, just playing shooters or whatever, and they've got tons more subs than I do for some reason. And that'd be a real job for them. That'd be a legitimate income. And they're just literally playing video games for a living. And people would look down upon that because those people that are looking down on that while they're stocking shelves or doing construction work or whatever it is, whatever other job it is that you consider to be a real job, because that person might not be in a specific schedule, or because that person, is doing something that's generally looked upon as recreation. Like what even is a real job? That's the thing. And I think the majority of people who use the get a real job argument, they only consider it a real job if you are working for a company that issues you a regular, consistent paycheck. Hello, Wayward. How you doing? We're talking jobs. We're talking income. We're talking all of that shit. But realistically speaking, a real job concept is a joke. 9 to 5, pretty much, yeah. Like the idea, the ideal behind it is nonsense. It's effective nonsense. So where were we? Sorry, I'm missing some stuff. You got paid £60 despite not streaming in a year. Apparently people are still subbed to me. It can happen. It can happen. Also fun is that probably helps propagate abusing passion in the creative industry. It absolutely does. Absolutely does. Yeah, real job is when you hate your employer in daily life, so Twitch very much applies to me. I love streaming. I do. But I fucking hate the company that I stream for. Twitch. I wish I could do this via mainly sponsorships and mainly like support from viewers. That'd be great, but unfortunately... Well, I mean, technically any subscribers and people who cheer bits, that is support from viewers, but you know, I mean like off the platform. If you were to sub to me on Fanhouse, for example, I think they only take like, what, 10%? And it's like $5 on Fanhouse, where it's like... Oh, I should put Fanhouse in there as well, by the way. And I'm just treating Fanhouse as kind of like another Instagram. Just putting selfies up on there at the moment, and like... vibing, and I might post some life updates, maybe pictures of my cat, I don't know. Fast food work is harder work than some tech job at a data bank or something. It all sucks. Yeah, that's another thing. Is like people who are often the get a real job types, people who have that attitude, or like the people who try to spew that narrative in a much more largely platformed sense. They're in, and I'm not talking about like tech jobs specifically, but there are definitely people who have the get a real job attitude, and their job is very laid back and very lazy. You know, they spend anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day not doing a whole lot of anything, but they make a lot of money because they climb the ladder. So let me come back a little bit. The problem you have with vegetarian or veganism is that it takes so much effort, and after work I don't have the energy left over that I can waste on cooking difficult dishes. Sometimes TV dinner has to do. It's got to be even worse for people in food deserts. Yeah, exactly. Like veganism and vegetarianism, like we've mentioned before, it's a good idea, but it's not realistic for a lot of people. As a sufferer of chronic insomnia and someone with non-24-hour circadian rhythm disorder. Hang on, what have I missed? Let me come back. Went to sleep early last night like an adult. Oh, okay, I see. Fast food is mental too when you have a timer and need to multitask while dealing with customers. Think logging data. I think we shouldn't really be like bickering over which is harder in this circumstance, but you know. Seeing two people getting riled up. Yeah, let's stop escalating the topic with regards to the Vorsh thing. I only mentioned him because of a video he was talking about where it was someone who's trying to live in America and someone who's anti DACA, basically, whatever this thing is. I think most people can't read emotion, generally speaking, in chat, in text. We're back to eating meat because vegan food isn't really available in Cornwall, and where it is in specialist shops has very inflated prices. And the reason it has very inflated prices is because there's not a lot of vegans, generally speaking. I will say that. It's like it's not even It's not even so much the fault of the vegan food chains or whatever it is. It's the fact that people who are buying vegan exclusively are few and far between, and they're often well off as well. So the prices are escalated based on customer base and the fact that there are not as many customers as there would be, in typical diets. Grass-fed versus grain-fed cattle has different emission rates and other environmental effects. Other thing with a lot of vegetarian and vegan stuff is on an environmental level, it depends on what the animals are fed. Feed cows seaweed. I heard about that, actually. Got a vegan tattoo on my right shoulder, so that sealed my fate. Excuse me. Even then, even like trying to shift away from more emissions in the meat industry, which is a good thing for the climate, which is a good thing for everybody else, still doesn't solve the issue of widespread industrial animal abuse. But I didn't see the music sent to me on Discord because I can't see music. I'll take a look soon. Or I'll take a listen soon. Anyway, I've been busy, okay? I've been cranking it hard with this video, and I've also been ill and sore and all of that, so, It is all interconnected. Like, once you look at how many different issues we face and how many things we want to... Like, this is the thing about, like, the social justice-y kind of attitude, right? Is once you start looking at one issue, you start to see how all the other issues are connected to it. I wonder if they do that with cows in Japan. Remember something about seaweed being a big deal over there. It's highly sought after. There we go. But you cannot. Farms in the US where there's just a shit ton of cattle being crammed into a shed and fed grain. If they were grass-fed, they couldn't do that, yeah. Anyways. Yeah, like, intersectionality is an interesting subject. Like, this is why it's always hilarious, and I try to avoid doing this. But anytime, and I feel like I'm going to start referring back to the way gay people were treated, like, 20, 40 years ago, instead of referring back to how people of color were treated in different eras, and, like, the arguments that conservatives make now against trans people have routinely been made against people of color, but... Again, the arguments made against trans people now have also been made against gay people 20 years ago. But this is what's highly amusing about any of this. Not amusing, but highly interesting, I suppose, about any of this social justice-y stuff. Is like once you start seeing all the little pieces, once you start looking at everything that's wrong in society, you start to say, oh, this and this and this and this. There's a thread between all of these little pieces. It's a puzzle, The 80s started about 40 years ago. That it did. 42 years ago. 41 years ago. Did your own version of my title theme. Oh, okay. I've already figured out what the intro theme's going to be for my my next big video. I will say that much. Which is pretty good. Picked a good one. Very dependent on where you work and who you are. I work in a Greyhound track kitchen. It was surprisingly easy. Moved to a fast food place and yikes. Yeah, I think fast food would be demonstrably different than working in certain other restaurant chains, for example. Depends on what kind of expectation there is from the consumers. I mean, obviously fast food, it's in the name. You want to get the food cooked fast and get it out the door, or not out the door, into people's hands, whatever it is. So there's a lot of rush there, but there's also a lot of rush in other restaurants. In non-corporate kitchens. I have no idea about service work. The only thing I've done even remotely close to that is working in a supermarket where I was largely doing cleaning and trolley collection. And I do not want to go back to that, but I have been looking into jobs recently, and it seems like not many people like that job, so it's constantly available in different stores around my area. It's a fucking shit job. Generally speaking, you have to get up really early in the morning to do the morning clean, and then you got to do trolley collection, which is just a physical drain. I couldn't even start doing it now because of my foot. You need a job, you do it. I mean, that was my mindset back then when I first got the job. It was like, I need a job. I need to do something. So I went and I did that for a good few years, and then I ended up feeling like I was completely emotionally and physically drained from it, and I ended up leaving. And also just, it wasn't a good workplace. It was a really fucking shit workplace. Worked at McDonald's flipping burgers when you were a vegetarian. It was not fun. Anyway. Worked in hospitality for a little over a decade and didn't have speech problems before you entered the industry. Haven't worked your ass off. It's very disingenuous. It's not that I don't work hard. I just do my job and go home. So DJ, what you said here, when you understand most people on the left use people in the minority to keep them in power. What does that mean? To keep who in power? And then don't do or really care about those people. I'm not sure what you're getting at. Then things might change for the better, but not saying the right is 100% great also. Just wish more people would see both sides and use common sense. But the right is not using common sense. The right is using harmful rhetoric, and the left is using... Well, it depends on who you're talking to on the left, of course. And this is the problem with using terms like left and right. Yeah, we have a centrist. Oh my god. If we're talking specifically about commentators on the left are generally trying to raise awareness of social issues that involve marginalized groups, minorities, generally speaking. They don't want to lose power in their job. What does that mean? I'm not sure what you're getting at. If we're talking specifically about commentators like myself, I talk about social issues because I think it's important to raise awareness of those social issues. You know, that's the main thing. I think there are a lot of issues in our society, and this is why we started out with the... Well, now we're talking about jobs. Now we're talking about, like, the... what's it called? We're talking about, well, industry in general. We're talking about industry in general at the moment. In the government. How many leftists are actually in government is the thing. You know, how many... And the important thing to note, right? The important thing to note about left-leaning politics, right, is that we still live in a very, very right-leaning world, even in the West, right? At best, right of center in certain parts of the Western world. And even if there were to be a really, actually leftist party come to power, right? Jacinda in New Zealand is barely even left, center-left at most, yeah. So even if there were an actual left-leaning party to get into power, it's not just the fact that they would be in political rule in the first place. That's fine. Okay, we would have a left-leaning party in power. Let's just say Labour? Labour's the left party, isn't it? I'm pretty sure like our major two political parties, like Labour are centre-left and Liberal are right. And then Greens are much further left. But even if you were to get a proper left-wing party into Parliament, you still have to contend with where the money's going and where the money's coming from to fund that government. Generally, and of course, as we've seen in the US, with the way that certain things are being done, even under the Biden administration, the Democrat administration, which is supposed to be... Where is the tweet by Pixel, which sort of very, very briefly outlines this? I'm glad I don't have Twitter open because a friend of mine has posted a topless selfie. Oops. So yeah, let's just say, for example, in the US, Republicans are the right-wing party, Democrats are the center party, and like she's going on about the colors here, but like Labour is arguably center-left, Liberal is arguably center-right. This is the like, especially if we use the USA as a discussion here, like, obviously Democrats being center, it's questionable, but, you know, let's just say, for argument's sake, they are more left than the Republicans, okay? But as we have seen with the US, it seems very difficult for them to actually make any significant progress, you know, because everything that the Republicans are doing to stagnate progress, which is what was mentioned up here a little bit earlier by... Who mentioned stagnant? Who mentioned that our left-leaning party is stagnant and our right-leaning party is regressive? That's the main thing that we have to contend with regards to this. It's not so much that left-wing politicians can't get anything done or are only using minorities to maintain power. It's that when they want to try to get stuff done, they simply cannot do it because, like was mentioned by Sammy here, if they get gridlocked, then nothing happens. It's like if we try to actually push for progressive policy making, it's incredibly difficult when there are people on the other side of the discussion putting every roadblock in their path to stop them. It's not that they don't care, it's that they physically cannot do it. It requires more power than we have on the left. You know, because the vast majority of the power and the money is on the right. You know, this is the major issue that we have. They want the money that comes with it. This is the thing. Like, most leftists do not have the money. They don't have the billions of dollars that the right-wing parties do. Well, and the weakest among the left will water the legislation down to appease the right. Yes, exactly. There was a good video by, I forget what it was, but basically outlines how, to sum it up, it's kind of like a sports movie, right? You know those sports movies where you've got the one team, like let's just say a football movie or something like that. You've seen these kind of things. And you got the good team. You're rooting for the good team, the protagonists, the good guys. They play by the rules. But the enemy team doesn't play by the rules. But the good guys, they want to win, so they keep playing by the rules because they know that, righteousness and, obeying the rules wins out in the end. But the bad guys keep winning. They keep, all the bad teams they keep going up against, they keep breaking the rules. That's literally how politics works. You've got the bad team who constantly break the rules in their own favor to stay in power, and the good team's trying to play by the rules, but they can't make any significant progress. It's not about staying in power, which is laughable because there's no left-wing governments in power at the moment. At the point of going, fuck the rules, and I wish the left would, is the thing. I wish the left just fucking would break the rules and get shit done, but they can't, Anyway. Where are we? Can we drop the whole arguing over which job is harder than which? Because you're quite literally just feeding into exactly what I was saying before about how there are certain people of certain opinions of what is a real job and all this sort of stuff. Anyway. Obviously people with enough money to donate a lot to politics without making themselves broke don't like losing that position. Yeah, exactly. Which would happen with a left shift. But yeah, this is the thing, is, there are obviously very leftist politicians out there, and even someone like Bernie Sanders or AOC, they're still only left of center at best, right? They are as left as can be in a right-wing world. But anyway, yeah, there's not many really, truly, genuinely left-wing politicians who have any semblance of power at all. And it is in the best interests of the corporations that actually rule the world to keep funding those that stifle progressive policymaking. I am just go, but common sense for me, and just... What are you talking about? What common sense? That's nonsense. Hello, Ren. How you doing? What common sense? Fucking centrists, man. You can't just sit on the fence your entire life. Take a stance for something. Jesus. At least decide which side of the fence you're on. AOC still supports imperialism to some extent. Yeah, to some extent. My stance is no stance. How you doing, Ren? Common unsense. Yeah, there's no sense here. We're trying to exactly explain. You can't really see both sides when one side leans heavily in the vein of stripping the rights of people like me, and the other one wants to give rights to people like me and other marginalized groups and elevate people to a place where we actually might have some semblance of egalitarianism in society. No, most of the good things are not right-sided at all. Did you not listen to what I just said? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, exactly. Yeah, please elucidate your point here. I'm curious. And yeah, agreed, Wayward, ratio. I just... Sorry, I saw an opportunity and I took it. Hello, Echo. Common sense is when you just go with your initial assumptions and don't think deeper about anything. Mathematics. Mathematics, okay? In primary school, they teach you that in maths you've got multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Right? You can do some cute things with numbers. You can go 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 divided by 1 equals 2. And shit like that. They teach you in primary school that that's mathematics. Plus, minus, multiply, divide. It's loads of fun, kids. But guess what? There is significantly more to mathematics when you get to adulthood. To most people, common sense is maths is plus addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Right? But it's a lot deeper than that once you actually get into more significant mathematical theories. Right? That's the point I'm trying to make. Is like, it's not that simple and common sense. There's more depth to these topics. Anyway, we have no border security with Biden. Based on what? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. And also, yeah, Biden has kept so many of Trump's policies in. And this kind of comes back around, like, obviously the Democrats are center. They're not actually left-leaning. But they are more left than the right that was previously in power. But as a result of them being so centrist, what's basically happened is you've got a Democrat parliament in, not parliament, you know what I mean? You've got a Democrat government in. Yeah, they're basically right-wing, but less right-wing than Republicans. But yeah, like, nothing's happened. And this is exactly the problem. This is exactly the point. You can't say the right is good when the right's constantly doing really bad, negative shit, and then you try to get a more progressive party in, which doesn't happen. Nothing changes because the people who are really in power, not the president, are preventing progress from happening. Prices are up due to inflation, not due to Biden. Jobs are down due to people wanting better paying work, which is completely ethically correct on their part, morally correct on their part. Like, people are finally waking up and realizing, hey, you guys have been paying us shit in America, and they're finally asking for higher wages and stuff. And not the overtly huge jobs of food service and retail that treat their workers like shit and pay them zero. Exactly. How is Biden the reason for inflation? Provide sources. Provide sources. And also spell correctly, please. This is where people start misunderstanding graphs and statistics because it can be easily manipulated depending on what information you're using in relation to what it is you're trying to prove. Plus, a graph by itself means nothing if not given proper context. Exactly. It reminds me of, there was a certain graph that was used to illustrate a certain point recently, and then someone pointed out that the actual graph was significantly larger and showed more important data. Like, let's use this as an example. Let me just grab, what the fuck? Why? Okay. I'm getting given a CAPTCHA to check Twitch tracker. Fucking hell, dude. Why? Okay, here's a thing. All right, let me find someone. Let me look up my own analytics for a second. Okay. I will show you something. Come on, do it. Show me my analytics, please. Chat on maximum overdrive. Yes. Okay, so here we go. Here's a graph, right? Here is a graph. Let's do this really quickly. Okay, let me just like, this is an example of what we kind of mean here. I think this is kind of, let me see. This is kind of illustrating my point. If we just look at this portion of the graph over here, it looks like my analytics fluctuate pretty wildly. They go up, they go down, but then we take this away and we can see that my analytics have trended up quite significantly in the past few months. Right, that's the kind of thing I was getting at, the kind of point I was trying to make a minute ago. Anyway, like, people will use a portion of a graph to try to prove a point and cut out the rest of the data that's necessary to really contextualize everything. Where are we? Punch a centrist and a right-winger bleeds. Yeah. Just being baited into a flame war? Probably at this point. This person has no real legitimate points. They're just spouting propagandist bullshit. Biden raises minimum wage. It will kill mum and pop shops who can't pay. Yeah, they shouldn't exist if they can't pay a living wage. Exactly. Like, if you want to live in a society that has competitive business models, then those businesses need to be able to pay their workers a living wage. You know, the minimum wage was literally instated to provide people with a quality standard of living. So, you know, getting paid enough to have a roof over your head, to pay for your food, and to cover any other necessary life expenses, which can include things like electricity, fuel for your car payments, medical insurance, any of those kind of things. Like, any job you have should be able to cover those things. And yeah, they're just some troll, really. But this is the thing, it's content at the same time, isn't it? It's like we're having a discussion now, we're having a conversation, it's content. And congrats on getting a huge increase in my chatter numbers, Dad. Oh, hell yes. Want to live in a society, just not this one, agreed. I want a better society, I want a socialist society. Yeah, this one here, under Trump, people were making more money and their jobs and taxes were lower. Prove it. Sources? Strike me as a reactionary, and that's in the chat rule. Well, yeah, it is in the chat rule, isn't it? Don't be a reactionary. Can we get this troll out of here? You left for a minute for breast milk. Breast milk? What? Breast milk? Yeah, citation needed. $800 a week is not a lot of money, especially when you consider rent, utilities, groceries, and state averages on those regards. Exactly. It's not much. Language is also used when presenting to the public. 500% more people are 5 out of 100 than 1 out of 100. Sounds bigger than 4 more people. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Trying to derail bullshit. Talking about minimum wage. Recently read Wage, Labor and Capital. Marx was talking about what the minimum wage should be. What did Marx say? Please enlighten me, because I haven't read Marx much. I've read about Marx. What did Marx specifically outline about what the minimum wage should be? Because I know minimum wage was designed to provide a standard of living, like provide a quality standard of living. But as time has gone on, inflation has just gone up and up and up in ways that make it unreasonable for most people to get a single job and have all of their life expenses covered. You know, it's virtually impossible unless you have the privilege of being able to get into a well-paying job right off the bat. You know. So where are we? The key to dismantling the right is breast milk. Who's Mark? Mark Latham, who's trying to implement a queerphobic bill in education to prevent teachers from supporting trans kids and shit. Oh, hi, Mark. Also, with global warming getting worse, looking for long-term careers just feels sort of futile. Yes, I agree. It feels very... Oh, hi, Marks. Wasn't talking about the minimum wage, but rather the basic level of wages. This Mark guy sounds like an asshole. Yeah, we already sort of covered what Mark Latham's been doing. He's a cunt. And hopefully the bill that he's trying to push in, where it will punish teachers for supporting trans and gender diverse kids and try to suppress any education regarding queerness in schools, and will out trans and gender diverse kids to their parents who may not be supportive. Like this, these are the things that the bill is trying to, that the bill he's trying to put forward are going for. It's fucking scary. That's in Australia. Don't even know if I should start a retirement savings. Will I be alive that long? That's another thing, right? It's like I've heard the lecture from my mum, for example. You know, she went and did the study that she did and went and got the job that she did so she could provide for me and my sister in such a way that we would have a comfortable, cozy upbringing in life and be able to go on holidays and shit. And I really didn't, aside from having a roof over our heads, doesn't really feel like that was the upbringing we realistically got. She's been on holidays, I haven't. And then, you know, I look at what she's had the ability to do, and then I look at what I've had the ability to do. It feels like there's significantly more roadblocks. And it feels like the advice that is trying to be passed down generation to generation, like the wisdom I'm supposed to be receiving, isn't really applicable to the way things are now as they were in the 90s. You know, when she was talking about these kind of things, like when she was sort of working on her career, things have changed rather drastically. It was basically so that the worker could support themselves while also paying for their retirement and then being able to have a family and raise kids as the next generation of workers. That does make sense. This Mark guy sounds like an asshole. Isn't he the guy that wrote Father Ted? No, you're thinking of Graham, I think. Is it Graham Lennon? Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everyone's going to die. Come watch TV. True. Things have changed just not proportionally in terms of wages. Yeah, wages have stagnated and conditions have worsened. Rent has gone up. Wages have gone, well, not gone down, but they haven't inflated at the rate they should have to keep up with everything. Yeah, fuck that Facebook, man. There's so many bad Marks. Why are all the Marks awful people? I'm sure Karl Marx himself wasn't that great either, but he wrote some good theory that we can use to inform our opinions. I really should read Das Kapital. Mark them down as the bad ones. Mark fucking Zuckerberg. It's men that's the problem. Why do you think I stopped being one? No longer sure that the financial system as it currently exists will still be around by the time I would be withdrawing retirement. That's what I worry about too. It's like my mum's all about this idea of like, you need to get into a good job so you can start saving for retirement and all these kind of things. It's like, how? Am I even, like, this is the thing, they've been talking about raising the retirement age for years. You know, so by the time I get to retirement age, as it is now, is there going to be a retirement age? The whole point of the system we live in now is to get people spending as much time as they can on productivity for the eventual end goal of being able to relax and unwind and do fun stuff when you are too old and tired to enjoy it. It's a broken system. Like I mentioned, like my mentality around this, and I don't even know if I technically do this. I think what I need to start doing realistically is start spending at least 4 hours during my day and actually time it working on stuff for the stream to make the streams better. As it stands today, I haven't really done that, but I have spent a good few hours editing my next video, so you know. You could argue I've been spending a significant amount of time off stream working on the content creation stuff, but again, it's not really, realistically speaking, a job that's going to pay for retirement if I ever even get one. Tried to listen to Das Kapital while driving, and wow, that almost put me to sleep. There's a book that somebody recommended to me which basically sums up Capital in a way that's more understandable for the modern age. Like, basically interprets Capital for modern readers / listeners. I can't remember what it is, but I'll try to find it. If somebody knows what I'm talking about specifically, that'd be great, but I don't know. Das Kapital for Dummies? Maybe. But yeah, like, I tried to read a bit of it, and I was just like, really, Carl? Dude. It's not fun. It's not fun reading. Fun fact, they boosted the pensions in Australia. I've been unable to afford my meds and food at the same time, but hey, now I got an extra $10 a fortnight. Does it need to be interpreted for the contemporary? I think the historical context is important to inform the way we understand things now. But I think it is better to, like, the important thing is to take those notions and interpret them and reinterpret them based on societal evolution. Like, the way things have changed from when it was written to now, there are probably a lot of good ideas within those writings that can be interpreted for the modern day, but there's a lot of things that need to be reinterpreted. It's basically like religion. You know, those texts have been around forever, but people keep reinterpreting them to, which is not a good example. Religion sucks, but you know. What if there was a guy named Mark Carls who invented capitalism? At what benchmark will I have a viewer call-in celebration? That's a good question. I've never done viewer call-ins before. I realistically could on Discord and stuff, but it would be tricky. I could very well set up a Discord voice chat channel where I bring in, the only way you can get in is if I drag you into the channel. What you're saying is we need to apply historical materialism to contemporary society / economic structures. I think a lot of people grossly exaggerate, or not grossly exaggerate, but like, I think there's certain historical well, yeah, historical materialism is a good way to phrase it, but like there's certain historical there's things we can learn from past eras. Basically, that's the point I'm trying to get across. It's like there is certainly stuff that we can learn from both from the Western world and abroad. You know, certain things have worked, certain things have not, but we can always look back on what has worked historically and try to incorporate those ideas. Like, what was it, Red Vienna, in terms of like trying to eliminate houselessness, homelessness, what have you. Socialized housing, for example. Good idea. And, you know, Marx is considered dry and boring, but Kropotkin is much better. Some of the lines in Conquest of Bread are fucking fire. I gotta read Conquest of Bread. Marx, analyze your own material conditions as they are different from those who I am analyzing. There you go. Oh, Haley, I would only like allow viewers to call in who I specifically veto first. Read the bread book. I'll read the bread book. I've been meaning to for ages. I don't know what you're talking about specifically, but one of the most prominent contemporary Marxologists recently released a book about reading Marx's Capital. His name is Michael Heinrich. Okay. You have spicy nudes. Ooh, hot. Enjoy that lurk, Ren. What I've heard about Capital is it's very dry in the first chapter, but people find it very enjoyable once they get into it. Veto? That's not the right word. What am I thinking of? The word vet. That's it. Yeah, vet. I could veto people as well. Vet people. Yeah, I'll vet people. I mean, I know who I would allow in and who I wouldn't. Marx is very long-winded and highly wordy. My roommate has read Marx. She condensed everything he espoused into a few sentences. Was nothing I didn't already think or believe. I read the Communist Manifesto. I'll say that much. Hello, I'm Clippy from Minecraft. But yeah, like, it seems like it's a lot of... It feels like there's a lot of theory that could be summed up in much shorter sentences, but, you know, by doing that, you lose a lot of the context surrounding things. Like, for example, my next video is very long and lengthy and wordy, but a lot of what I put into the video could be summed up very succinctly. People are dogmatic about Marx, and he would hate that shit. That's what materialism is all about. Look at the context of your situation and everything leading up to it. Yeah, I think it's worth noting that, you know, there are definitely writings that are from ages past that could certainly help us to understand what changes we could make in the society in which we live right now. A really good summary of Capital, which was written by a contemporary of Marx, which Marx himself approved of. There we go. There we go. I'll look into that. Sounds like a good idea. You know. Anyways, love the plot twist at the end. You'd be on just to storm in and talk some ace shit. That could work. That could work. It's an economic analysis. Of course, it's dry and detailed and wordy. Well, yeah. Which is kind of why it's so wild that some people are using, I guess, the term Marxist as a general derogatory towards leftists. It's like it doesn't really help much. Especially when people talk about Marxism with regards to gender. Marx didn't write about gender. People like to talk about these Marxist gender ideologists as if Marx wrote anything on gender. Don't think he did. As far as I know, he didn't. Like, his work wasn't about gender. Gender didn't even exist back then. Yeah, like, or rather, the contemporary understanding of gender didn't exist back then. Trans women are women, Karl Marx. Karl Marx and trans rights. Karl Marx's Capital by Carlo Caffiero. There we go. Marxist isn't an insult. Tanky is. Yeah. Was Marx even aware trans people existed? Doubt it. Yeah, if you've got a PDF, can you drop it in the Discord by any chance? Is that a possibility? Or a link to it, or whatever? Use the Force, Harry. Gandalf. At any rate, there's a lot of theory books that I do want to actually read at some point. But, you know. Gender is Engels' area, and there's a can of worms where the conservatives would agree with Marx's thought more than the current progressive leftism. It was on an internet meme, so it must be true. Closest thing was Engels writing on the origins of the family, I think. Well, yeah. So, neo-Marxism, the dog whistle based vaguely on barely Marxist-related philosophers who sometimes talked about gender. Oh, I see. Which all comes back to Peterson's bullshit by the sounds of it. Which channel? Probably Misc Media. Miscellaneous Media. Would probably be the best place for it. Oh, heck. Alright, we are just shy of our break. I'll wait till like the 10 o'clock mark. Jordan Bullshit Peterson, pretty much. Is that what the B stands for? Trans people still existed and tried their best. I mean, yeah, like, when he was around in like the 1800s, wasn't he? Today I'm on that Sigma grind set. On the subject of capitalism and such, I found out something interesting today. What did you find out, Draco? And yeah, like, trans people certainly existed in those eras. At least alive in 1848. I think he died in the 1870s, if I recall correctly. Yeah, maybe 1870 specifically. About 6 years ago, this CEO decided to upgrade every employee's salary to 70k. Okay. And he cut his own to do so. Yeah, I think I've heard of this dude. Yeah. There was also a Japanese CEO who did the same thing. Like, the business was struggling, and rather than, you know, what American companies tend to do, this CEO cut his own salary to be on the same level as everyone else at the company. Was it Nintendo? There we go. And, yeah, managed to resolve the financial issues that way. Satoru Iwata. Oh, okay. Gonna step out for a bit? I'm gonna step out for a bit too, because I have needed to pee for like the last 20 minutes. But I figured if there's only 20 minutes left till break time, I'll wait. I'll be back in a moment. Yeah, so don't go away, folks. Be kind to yourselves and each other while I'm taking a piss, okay? Be nice. What's up, you dumb bitches? How's it going? I'm back. I put a coffee on us. I got some coffee, so, you know. You're really proud of yourself at the moment because you told your parents that you're gay. Poggers! Congratulations. Congratulations. Very well done. Very proud of you. Let me come back through what I might have missed. Excuse me. Where are we? Okay. They don't want to accept... Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm so sorry. Where are we? So, not to do a no true Scotsman argument, there hasn't really been any communist regime because communism is a classless society and the state inherently class-based. Yeah. We should criticize the USSR and other countries, but they aren't really communist. Where are we? I didn't fall in. But also, you know, on the subject of, like, gay things, if you get a tier 3 sub, you get this little sort of bisexual lighting heart, I suppose, which is just... It's just the gradient I use on my graphics, basically. Lenin himself claimed they were in the transitional phase between capitalism and socialism. Which, I mean, let's be completely and totally brutally honest here. You know, the reason that socialism is so deeply demonized in the Western world, especially in America, and the reason that they use things like the USSR and other countries that have not ever been truly communist or truly fascist, not fascist, socialist. That's really helping my argument. You know, they'll use arguments that they'll use countries that have not either. Here's the thing: the problem with like capitalists using socialism or communism as an evil entity, portraying it in a negative light, is that either A, the countries they are using as an example of communism failed or socialism failed or whatever, were either never truly communist or socialist. Yeah, communist or socialist. Or countries that tried communism and socialism properly, or were moving towards that, failed due to American intervention to maintain a capitalist regime. But that's never brought up, is it? They're always using USSR when they were going through a famine and not USSR when their standard of living was higher than the US. It's all about portraying American essentialism as the ideal that the rest of the world should strive for. You know? You've got a female name. Oh, really? You told them you want to be a woman. I'm sorry to hear they're not accepting. I ate a single chip while I was in the kitchen and now there's chips stuck in my teeth. This is hell. Looks at South America? Yeah. North Korea is a totalitarian dictatorship run by narcissists. Yes, it is. The thing with a lot of US propaganda about the USSR is that it is of when they were transitioning more towards capitalism, 60s, 70s, and beyond. We're not defending the USSR, we're more attacking American exceptionalism. Chip in teeth batter. This affects me, so this is worse than the conditions that people are living through in North Korea, okay? It's a joke. That is what's called a humor. Is a necrocracy? Do you mean... Wait, is that actually a thing? Is that actually a thing? Anyway. What if Chip and Teeth and North Korea? As far as I'm aware, Cuba has true democracy now, but I was told that by my communist friends, so I have nothing to back that up, I'll admit. Talking about American imperialism is like talking about triangular triangles. Speaking of Noam Chomsky, what kind of Warhammer 40k technology is keeping that man alive? He looks like he is way past dead at this point. And that he's just... They're feeding him heretics through a machine that gives him life force to keep talking about leftism. Yeah, he's a lich. Nothing against Chomsky or anything, but you know, how's he still going? There was a thumbnail I saw recently of another discussion he'd been on, and he looked just so much of a corpse. He just like was aged 40 years in 5 years. Please don't say this. The last thing this planet needs is a god emperor. Oh, trust me, Jeffrey Bezos is well on his way to trying to accomplish that goal. He is doing it. Well done, Jeff Bezos. You did it. He's going to be the god emperor of mankind at some point. That's his ultimate end goal, trust me. I mean, he's already trying to what Amazon's already trying to establish company towns. Let's talk about this. It's because he answers all of his emails. As long as people keep sending him emails, he'll continue living. What is his life like? I'm curious what his life would be like. Okay, let's take a look at this article, which you may have seen already. Let's have a glance at this. Amazon's... We didn't even get into Christian Porter. We'll get into Christian Porter in a minute. No, fuck off. No, fuck off. Your monthly limit of free content is about to expire. Then I'll open your articles in, what is it called? Incognito mode, then fuck yeah. Or I'll download a new browser. I don't know. Something. I'll install an add-on to get around your paywalls. Fuck you. Plentiful new jobs at higher wages in places with cheaper housing sounds like a solution to inequality. I like the phrasing there. Like, sounds like a solution to inequality. Christian Porter. We'll get back to Christian Porter in a minute. Leto is my god emperor. The campaign against economic inequality has put a bullseye on cities. Local governments are encouraged to raise minimum wages, change their zoning laws, and build more housing, particularly in affluent communities that are squeezing out the lower class. Yeah, lift the working class into the pocket of Bezos. This is a bad idea. Let's talk about how factory towns are a really fucking bad idea. We could just play Outer Worlds. Fuck. We could just play The Outer Worlds and get a pretty good example of why company towns are a bad idea. Honestly, just play the first area. It's like, what, 6 hours? It's not much. Anyway. But what if you shifted that focus to a different kind of community? Consider these burgeoning new places strung along the interstate and other highways leading away from urban cores, populated by warehouses and fulfillment centers that are being built to serve the needs of e-commerce customers. Let's call them factory towns. They existed. There's a reason we stopped doing company towns. It's not because they're a good idea. These are places where working class jobs are being created in large numbers and where wages are already rising. They're not much in the spotlight yet, but these modern day company towns are... but making these modern day company towns... They literally just use the terminology. More livable for the working class might be a better approach to solving inequality with a higher likelihood of success than continuing to fight against entrenched interests in coastal cities and high cost parts of metro areas. The issue with this is like, okay, you might have a situation where some people living in these company towns might have a good quality of life at first, but this is definitely going to skew in a very, very dark and grim direction. Like, one of the issues with company towns in the first place is that the company owns you. The moment you're born, you are born into the ownership of the company. Your job is already laid out for you from birth. You cannot leave the town or you will face, like, let's just say, for example, didn't company towns used to have, like, their own currency and things of that nature? Or at least the currency you had was invalid outside that company town, so you couldn't leave. You couldn't quit your job. Like, it was, yeah, it's literally a form of slavery. It is. The whole idea is to put you into a specific situation that you can't get out of. Like, the situation we're in now is already like that. There are a lot of people who simply cannot... Script currency, that's it. The situation we're in now, there are already a lot of people who are living in cities and towns and all of that where they can't leave because they were born into this situation, they were born into those circumstances, and the current limiting factor is poverty, of course. There are a lot of people... Like, there's this constant thing that goes around social media. It's like, oh, if rent is too high in cities, why don't you move to a small town? the reality is a lot of those people who probably would like to move to a small town if they had the opportunity can't do it because they were born in the city and the circumstances are like they don't have the income to just pack up everything they have and move. And they can't move away from all their family and friends, and all of their work opportunities are in the city if they have any at all. Everything people have is tied up in where they are born, generally speaking. It's already pretty bad as it is. Now add on the fact that the company wants to own your life. That's what we're looking at. It used to be that when you were driving out of a metro area on a highway, you'd note the change in scenery as it went from urban to rural. Today, what's most noteworthy is the transition to humongous warehouses and distribution centers, both currently in use and many more being built. Retail and e-commerce Goliaths, Amazon.com Incorporated and Walmart Incorporated have distribution facilities everywhere, and while they may have the biggest footprint, companies that make building materials have their fair share, as do other e-commerce players like pet supplies company Chewy Incorporated. Did you know Roblox pays kids who make games for in company script? Oh, fucking Christ. Seriously? Yes, small towns don't have jobs and the cities don't have places to live. Exactly. It's never as simple as... I want to say conservatives. I want to say it's conservatives. But the thing is, these opinions, these viewpoints that I just mentioned a moment ago, are not even... like, they are political opinions, but they're not specifically political opinions. It comes back around to that common sense bullshit that moron was talking about before in chat. People who don't look any deeper than the surface level concept of the issue don't understand what's actually going on. And they just assume it's as easy, and these people are very privileged, of course, they assume it's as easy as just pack up and move, go somewhere else. Thank you for being so supportive and kind. You're welcome. Thank my community mostly. They've done a very good job of being so kind to you. I just gave you a sound effect, but you're welcome. I hope you can be in a more comfortable situation with perhaps found family or something soon, where you are in a better place around more accepting people. People Make Games did a very good video on YouTube about Roblox. I'll take a look at that. Only company... Actually, do you have a link to it, Minihood? Maybe I can bring it up and we can watch that tonight. The only company town I can think of that was nice was Hershey, Pennsylvania by Milton Hershey. He paid people well, and it was cottages with nature, not just factories, and Mr. Hershey wasn't particularly obsessed with political control. In most cases, it's the very opposite. It's still a really bad concept overall, though. But yeah, political control in company towns. Here we go. Alright, investigation how Roblox is exploiting young game developers. Let's have a look at that in a moment. Let's continue with this, though. We support fellow gays in this household, we do. Economic realities dictate where these facilities get built. The need for speedy deliveries makes it important to be close to large concentrations of customers, but because the facilities require so much land, hundreds of thousands of square feet or more, they tend to be on the outskirts of cities where land is abundant and cheap. Highway proximity is a must so the trucks can quickly get in and out. These warehouses also provide jobs to large numbers of people. An 800,000 square foot Amazon building employs between 1,000 and 1,500 full-time workers. So when you have multiple large warehouses operated by different companies packed along both sides of the highway in close proximity, you could be talking about a cluster employing many thousands of workers. Sounds like a row of eyesores, though. Now consider Amazon's announcement this week that it's making another big hiring push at its fulfillment centers, with jobs paying an average starting wage of $18 an hour, up 20% since 2018. Thinking about the growth of fulfillment and distribution centers in general, maybe these highway warehouse communities with jobs that pay increasingly respectable wages are what the future of the working class looks like. And it doesn't make sense then to think about, doesn't it make sense then to think about how we can make these communities better for people who will live and work there? God, this is frightening. I would like decent working conditions as well, yeah. It starts with making the jobs as high paying and safe as possible, and whether that can be done by running labor markets hot, I don't know what that means. Or perhaps with unionization or the threat of it, which... We've demonstrably seen that Amazon doesn't want unionization. If these sorts of jobs get to an average wage of $20 an hour, then a household with 1.5 full-time workers would make $60,000 a year with benefits. People can argue about what constitutes a reasonable working class lifestyle, but that would seem to offer the prospect for a much better existence than service workers had a decade ago, particularly considering lower housing costs on the outskirts of metro areas. If they work for Amazon, do they have to wear a catheter? Yeah, the future of the working class. Live in a warehouse, work in a warehouse, pee in bottles. Yeah, Amazon is not exactly a company I would be praising, but this is Bloomberg, so of course. Bloomberg opinion, mind you. In other news, Texas is getting worse. Oh, really? What now? Texas special session includes a bill to detransition trans youth. Oh, fucking Christ. We'll come back to that in a sec. They get to wear a catheter. You can apply for a catheter if you work in an Amazon factory town. People can live close to work with shorter commutes, plus the possibility of employer-provided shuttle buses when their jobs are in a cheaper, less crowded part of a metro area. If there's a push to increase density by building affordable apartments or townhomes for workers, there's less likely to be wealthy homeowners mobilizing to stop it, since those sort of homeowners will live closer to the city core. As wages rise and more jobs are created at warehouses and distribution hubs, you'll get a secondary increase in economic activity as amenities like retail and dining are built close to appeal to the workforce. Close by to appeal to the workforce. Is Bezos into femboys? Asking for a friend. These new factory towns will presumably have new issues that need addressing, such as adequate amounts of housing, schools, and healthcare facilities. But the point is we need to be thinking about what sorts of communities are being created by the growth of US e-commerce infrastructure and what they'll need to thrive. To urbanists contemplating the potential of the area surrounding Interstate 75 in Ocala, Florida, outside of Orlando, might not be as sexy. Don't use that word. Ew, as upzoning and building transit in San Francisco, but it's these types of communities that are going to be the future of a large segment of the working class. Which is still incredibly, incredibly worrying overall, given what we were talking about earlier, about how these kinds of things, you know, the concept of factory towns is a terrifying prospect once you begin to realize what that means, especially given the history of it. Yeah, it's not as fuckable at all. What the fuck? Sexy? Sexy. No, don't use the term sexy. Alright, so let's have a look at this. Texas special session. I just want to glance at this really quickly. Includes a bill to detransition trans youth, pull them from puberty blockers and force them through the wrong puberty. It defines getting trans care for trans youth as child abuse. It will out trans children and irreversibly harm them. TLDR, it's fucked. Relating to the definition of abuse of a child. Administering or supplying or consenting to or assisting in the administration or supply of a puberty suppression prescription drug or cross-sex hormone to a child other than an intersex child. Interesting that they single that out for the purpose of gender transitioning or gender reassignment. The bill treats the giving trans youth the global medically accepted transition care as child abuse in the same categories as sexual assault of a child, physical abuse of a child, substantially harming a child, creating child pornography. Texas is trying to kill trans kids. They're really just out and out about it, aren't they? They're really just straight up about it. And yeah, Epo, you're absolutely right. That is because of all the backlash they're having over abortions, they need to go to scapegoat trans people. There are trans people in Texas who are stealth, completely live as their gender, 15 years old, who under this bill, in front of their friends and classmates, will develop a deep voice, facial hair, etc. after living their lives as their gender. The cruelty is unimaginable. Full text here if you want to click on it. Just for the cruelty of it, they also have 3 other bills that were just dropped. 2 bills focus on banning trans kids from sports. We need to have a discussion about this. And 1 bill focuses on banning birth certificate changes. Wonderful Twitter decided to censor/remove one of my tweets because I specifically called out that this bill places giving transition care to trans youth alongside other nefarious forms of child abuse and names those forms. If it's this one, that must have been reinstated or something. But with the trans kids in sports thing, I just want to briefly address this because we talk about the trans athletes thing overall, but there was a tweet I saw today which is a very, very good point that I think needs to be brought to discussion. Not people who are, quote, retweeting each other with a full body pic and how tall they are. That's not relevant, but it's a cool little trend. I think I'm actually about 5'10". Let me see here. I like so many fucking tweets. Jesus Christ. There is a good one here. Let me find it. Here. This one. Okay. The trans women in sports conversation really misses out on the fact that only an elite few participate in paid, televised, or professional sport. Women's sport, especially for youth, is primarily a vehicle to develop a public life and become involved in your community. This is what any sort of argument against trans athlete, yeah, I like so many fucking tweets, I do. Go through my likes. I like a lot of shit. I spend an inordinate amount of time on this stupid hell site. But realistically speaking, this is a very good point to illustrate, and one that I honestly have not even considered when discussing the trans women in sports thing. Because it's always trans women in sports thing. They never... The only time that trans men in sports are brought into the discussion is when transphobes confuse a trans man like Mac Beggs for a trans woman. Right? That's still such a hilariously stupid story. He was forced to compete with the girls in his division and was kicking ass because of stupid legislation. Anyway, the major issue with this thing is that sport, by and large, is get involved in your community, make friends, essentially network. Like, adults have got stories of like, oh, this is my best friend. We were on the cricket team together. Like, it's all about it's all about community building. That's what the majority of sports is about. And I've heard numerous stories from cis women athletes, right, who said, we've got a trans woman on our footy team or whatever it is. And to them, they're not like going for championships at the elite level. They're not trying to get on television or something like that. They're a local footy team, and generally speaking, like local sports where it's just, groups of average people, they're not elite athletes. There's not like some ridiculous... There is an unfairness by virtue of the fact that most of the people on the sports team are of wildly different body types, and they're not dedicating hours and hours of their day to training and all that kind of thing. It's really patently absurd that this is even a discussion that anyone's even having. Community building so that the trans kids are more isolated and the cis people don't know any trans people. Exactly. That's what it's all about. When they're trying to kick trans kids out of sports, they're trying to restrict trans kids' ability to make friends, restrict trans kids' ability to participate in something that everybody else gets to participate in. Keep them out of sight, out of mind. It's easier to legislate against them. So Texas is categorizing the healthcare as abuse while categorizing what the UN deems torture as healthcare for intersex youth. Exactly. Texas is fucking backwards, and I am really, really scared for those trans kids in Texas. Fucking Christ, dude. This is why we talk about this. This is why we have the discussion. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, by the way. It's always worth having these discussions. Anyway, how about we look at some more shit that's going to make us miserable. Investigation. How Roblox is exploiting young game developers. Let's watch this. I know I haven't been watching a lot of videos on content. Haven't done a lot of React content lately. I wouldn't mind getting back into reacting to conservative bullshit. I actually considered looking up, like, has Lauren Southern... Sorry. Given the context earlier, I did consider looking up, like, is there a Lauren Southern video where she talks about trans people? There probably is. So that's a thing we could discuss. That's a thing we could watch. If there is one. I didn't actually look to see if there is one, but we could watch that. See you later, Clara. Have a good one. Nobody really knows how many intersex people there are in the world because of doctors doing secret surgeries. Yeah, exactly. Like we've mentioned before, that, they, what's it called? They, hey, Solus, by the way. What was it? Fuck. Yeah, for all of the pandering about surgeries being done on children to, like gender confirmation surgery or whatever, which is not happening, there are surgeries being performed on intersex babies before they even have the concept of consent to make them cis, basically. Or whatever it is. Intersex erasure, yes. As someone who played sports in high school, not only I, but every other girl on my team was outclassed by every D1 girl we ever played against, because those girls were so talented, and the one that was like 6'5", my trans self was only 6 foot. Maybe that girl was trans too. Can always tell. Fascists getting kicked off platforms? Crab rave, hell yes. Okay, let's pause this, and let's have a look at this video here. Investigation, how Roblox is exploiting young game developers.
This story began when I learned 3 stunning things about Roblox. If you don't know much about Roblox, today it is the most popular video game in the US and Europe, played by 200 million.
My daughter plays this trash
every month. Roblox is more of a creative platform than a game, though. It's a downloadable portal to a staggering quantity of multiplayer games of all different genres that are all just a little bit floaty and janky. That's because anybody can download Roblox and use its free tools and free hosting to start making and monetizing games. And an astonishing number of people have done just that. Where today Steam hosts almost 55,000 games, Roblox hosts more than 20 million experiences. Which is what Roblox calls games because, legally speaking, it can't admit to selling games within Apple's App Store, as that would make it a game shop within a game shop. So, those 3 things I learned that made me do the internet equivalent of a double take. 1, all of Roblox's developers do earn a cut of the revenue of everything they create, but that cut is shockingly small. To put it in perspective, Steam catches heat from game developers for taking 30% of every sale, while Epic and Microsoft's PC store take just 12%.
Speaking of Epic Games Store, I have to concede I did something really bad today, and I bought Kena Bridge of Spirits on Epic Games Store because I really liked the look of that game from the moment I first saw a trailer on it. A lot of reviews are out. They say the game is pretty reasonable quality. Like, they say it's a good game. It looks aesthetically gorgeous. But yes, I gave money to Epic. I'm sorry, but if you're in my Discord server, I will be streaming Kena this weekend once my kids are in bed on like Saturday night, Sunday night. Actually, I'm not sure what I'm doing Sunday. Maybe not Sunday, but I will be streaming it on Saturday night in the Discord. If yous are in there, if you want to see some gameplay of Kena Bridge of Spirits, I'm going to play that. It looks really good. I'm excited. What did Epic do again? The main issue that I think I and many other people have with the Epic Game Store is it started poaching games, right? Hey, thank you, Anonymous, for gifting a sub to Draco.
You are
legend,
too kind.
you. I'm going to find out who you are, Anonymous sub gifter. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I will say, I will say, like, the main thing that I and a lot of other people had with Epic Game Store when it first started doing its thing was that it was poaching a whole bunch of games that would have been coming to Steam or other platforms and made them exclusive on the Epic Game Store. And I think it ended up turning out that despite the exclusivity, once the game stopped being exclusive, it was garnering more sales on other platforms anyway. So, like, Epic was splashing their cash and going, look, here, we've got all this Fortnite money. Let's throw it at these developers and poach their games away. But despite that, after like 12 months of exclusivity on Epic, they'd make tons more sales on Steam or whatever. And also just the game store itself, like, Epic is an unethical company, but also their game store is just largely featureless. Like, we have Steam should be held up as the gold standard of game store design. Even if it's not perfect, it seems like it is largely the most feature-rich platform. And Epic can't even get a shopping cart. Like, it's stupid. No, they don't. As far as I know, they still don't have a shopping cart, I don't think. I made a joke, and it has free game giveaways a lot as well. So, like, there are positives, but there are significant negatives too. I made the joke a while back when that was kind of the discourse around Epic Game Store, was that they don't have a shopping cart, but Fortnite, their main game, has a shopping cart in it. Like, you can ride around in a shopping cart in Fortnite, or you used to be able to, before their game storefront could. Like, anyway. Just a little tangent. Anyway, if you're in my Discord server, type !Discord in chat if you're not in the Discord server and you'd like to join in. But yeah, I will be streaming Kena Bridge of Spirits on the weekend. In there, not on here.
Developers receive around 24.5% of any sale, although as we'll soon see, in reality they get even less. The second thing I saw? When Roblox went public on the stock market this year, it was valued at a staggering $41 billion, a value somewhere between Nintendo and Electronic Arts. Roblox is now worth 7 Ubisofts, and 3, in the words of Roblox's own Vice President of Marketing, Tammy Barmek, from the very beginning, it was about having kids develop games for other kids. These kids are not just hobbyists. They're doing real work that is driving the value of one of the biggest video game publishers in history. but with a cut that's just 1/3 of the industry standard and nobody looking out for their health. We had to ask, is the next generation of video game developers being exploited before they've even finished secondary school?
I will say this. I will make this point that, and Epic Games is trying to do this as well now with Fortnite, yeah. I will admit that, you know, maybe if I had followed this path a lot more when I was younger, I really, really genuinely found true passion in creating maps in Warcraft 3 in the world editor back when I was a child. Like, that was my first exposure to sort of game dev. And I think if I'd stuck with that and started to learn the ins and outs, I could have followed that as a career path eventually and got into game development. But yeah, companies do want to have stuff like this because technically when you're making games when you're making a game for a game, they, generally speaking, according to their terms of service, own whatever you create. So any new ideas you come up with, they can technically just steal and release a new game based on that concept and pay you nothing for it.
But before we look at how Roblox treats its workers, first we have to look at how Roblox turns its young users into workers in the first place. So, the good thing about Roblox, as I've said, is that the tools are free, the hosting's free. The tools actually let you skip the traditional learning curve associated with 3D modeling, and Roblox even handles moderation of your players for you. But people just using these free tools to get creative doesn't make Roblox any money. In fact, it loses the money.
Videos seem to be doing that delay thing again. Why? What the fuck? Seriously, what the fuck, OBS? What are you doing, mate? You play with dolls. Okay. So? Congrats. How do you survive in a society where you yourself are the input and output? Input and output. The feedback loop is mad. It's the golden goose Blizzard get away with. Let get away with Dota, and are definite they won't let happen again. Yeah, exactly. It's about 5 seconds late. Why? What the hell's going on? Does anyone have I've looked this up. I can't seem to figure out what it is. It makes no sense to me. Did you miss the flex? Distinct lack of swinging. Was there a flex? Oh, there was a flex. I can try. There you go. Oos. Anyway, let me just have a look at this. Hang on. OBS is transphobic. Fixing video and audio sync in OBS. I don't know what this would be. What the heck's going on? Hang on. Thank you for the head pats, by the way, Fox. Audio, maybe? Video? There's nothing wrong with the video. It must be like audio delay, but there's no audio delay listed. Good night, Skylar. Have a good one. Happens when you watch other streamers. When you watch other streamers, it happens a bunch. The audio comes first. The video is delayed. What the heck? Why? Lagging, and I don't even know what I'd look for because, you know, you can record video and audio with OBS. So, like, if you try to search video or audio delay in OBS, it brings you technical advice because of whatever it is. Try window capture rather than screen capture. Maybe. Let's see if that works. Hang on. Window capture. There we go. Let's put you behind me. Cam 1. Oh, hang on. That's in the wrong window. Hang on. Let me get rid of that one. Are you sure you wish to remove window capture? Yes. Okay, let's try putting this over here. We got screen capture. Oh, hang on. There's a screen capture scene I've got over here. I wonder if there's something wrong with this. Let me look at the settings for this. Properties. Oh, no, that doesn't help. Nope, that gives me nothing. So that's just display capture. What if I turn display capture off and I just paste? No, that didn't work. Okay. Add. Let's just go back to our other scene. Let's just go back to this one. Add in the window capture. Okay. Okay. We'll put him behind me. Let's see what happens if I just let this go. All right.
that Roblox's core
How's
player
that?
base,
Is that any
9
better?
to 15
Did that fix it
start
or
playing.
no?
They are
Delayed? Fuck, what the hell? I don't know what the deal is. Hey Zara, how's it going? Hey Ziwa. 3 to 5 seconds. What the fuck? Are we okay to watch that, or is that too off-putting? Hello Sabercat. Is Lauren Southern banned yet? She was temporarily suspended from Twitch. Yeah, is it acceptable? It's annoying. What do you think? Is it worth watching with a delay? What time did you send your last message? Let's have a look. If I type user U in there, did you go for a nap? About 2 hours ago. It's quite irritating to me. Yeah, I would be annoyed by it too, honestly. I don't know. It's annoying. It's frustrating. Let's copy this and put it over here. I don't know if this is probably not going to solve anything, but you can have more of me now. Didn't mean to be gone for so long. Are you alright? Are you all good? I hope you're all good. I can't figure it out. Like, I don't know. Let's try this.
submerged in this idea.
Okay, so this is what's weird to me, right? This is what makes no sense to me, is I can see the video playing real time in OBS, and I can see the audio playing real time in OBS. So what I'm seeing, you should be seeing. So the fact that there is a delay at all makes zero sense to me. I just literally cannot fathom why it's happening. It makes no sense. Because OBS is just supposed to stream exactly what I've got on here. I don't know what the deal is, and that's why it's so hard to fix. Multitasking, you're working on nightlife, so you're mostly just listening to stream while on your other monitor, so the delay is less of an issue. It's literally gaslighting trans people. All right, let's just keep... Yeah, that's the thing. There's no delay on me. I know that much. And I've gone back and I've watched footage where we've recorded, and there's been a video, and yeah, I don't get it. I do not understand. This issue makes no sense. There's no logical reason for it to be doing this. Anyway, let's just let this go. Let's keep going.
It's impossible to play Roblox without making other Roblox users richer, because you're buying passes for their experiences. You're buying their cosmetics. But we're just getting started. The tabs at the top of Roblox.com are basically find games, find cosmetics, and start making stuff yourself. But if kids click on that, they see make anything, reach millions of players, and earn serious cash. Creators like you, it says, are being paid for what they love to do. If you go to Roblox's YouTube channel, the first videos you see are about successful game developers. In general, Roblox's PR department loves shining a light on the game's younger success stories. The official Roblox tutorials
I didn't see the video
and
of
the
Alex
game's
Jones.
support website both assume you want help with monetization, and if you go to education.roblox.com, which contains lesson plans for educators, one of the lessons is how to earn money in Roblox. Or, in the words of one 11-year-old I interviewed,
I saw other big games, I saw other developers getting money in a way that looked
just me?
easy.
This guy looks a bit like Tony Hawk.
Are any of these kids really...
He just looks a bit like Tony Hawk. Anyway, moving on.
Earning serious cash? Well, where the average indie game on Steam makes several $1,000s, the vast majority of experiences on Roblox earn their creators $0. Now, to understand why that is, we need
that
to
was literally
the
Dead
Roblox
by Daylight, but in Roblox.
It took me...
I could tell by the fact that he smacked the guy and then waited for a second. It's like that was literally just knocking off DBD. Tony Hawk looks a bit like Tony Hawk, you think?
Weeks to get my head around this. I'll let you decide for yourself what chance you think kids have of understanding it. So, making a game in Roblox is easy. It's when you want other people to play it to reach those millions of players that Roblox promised that your journey will start heading uphill. If you want to figure out what to play on Roblox, it only shows you the 1,000 or so games out of its 20 million that have the most players right now. There are no discoverability tools that let you see the newest games or to help new designers. The up and coming section still shows you games with thousands of players. So if you're a kid trying to make games for Roblox, you have two choices at this point. You can hustle and try and get your game in front of streamers or YouTubers, or you can pay Roblox to advertise it. But to buy anything in Roblox, you first have to convert your real money to the company's virtual currency.
What did you link there?
Robux.
Let me have a look.
Developers.
Let me hide this for a sec, just in case. Delaying audio. In some instances, you may need an audio delay to sync up the video from a camera or microphone input. Add an audio source. Click the cog. There shouldn't be a delay on it. Properties. No, there's no delay on anything. At least not on this. Filters. There's a gain, but that's turned off. Set an audio. Yeah, there's no delay on the desktop thing. I think the audio desync compounds over time. That's weird. Like, I don't get it. We haven't watched any videos tonight aside from this one. Give everything else a delay. That'd be too much effort. But yeah, if we'll get through this video, I think, and then we'll maybe not do any more video content for a bit until we figure this out.
On Roblox, bid with Robux for ad slots in an auction. A system that is discussed by developers in forum threads as a gamble, with developers hoping that with the right game and the right ad, they'll grab enough players that their game ends up surfacing in the churning froth of the Roblox marketplace. So the first thing Roblox tells us young developers is make anything, reach millions of players, earn serious cash. And then the next thing it says is, oh, well, I mean, if you actually want people to play your game, I guess you could give us money. But as duplicitous as it sounds, we know this works because Roblox has 20 million
check sound card
experiences made by
settings
its mostly young
check
audience.
The sample rate.
Even though
how would I find that? Where do I find that? I don't even know where to find sound card settings. I'm such a boomer. Holy shit. Want to play a great Roblox game I made? Control panel search sound card. All right, give me a sec.
They told me that kids.
That's weird. Device manager. Find and fix problems with playing sound. Maybe device manager. Sound, video, and game controllers. Which one's my sound card? Fuck, I don't know. Want to go to control panel, okay. We'll figure this out eventually, I promise. Oh, go back, there's 2 spaces there. Change sound card settings. Maybe this. Could record reaction stuff in Discord for Patreon content using the broadcast feature in a dedicated channel. No delay and easier Patreon content. I could. Default format. Select the sample rate. 2 channel, 24-bit, 48,000 hertz, studio quality. Would that be it though? I don't know. If you ever get a working copy of Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, non-remake and 2 friends, Sunken City was one of the most fun puzzle RPG maps I've ever played with friends. I think I've heard of that one. Believe you on something like digital audio, but basically try and click properties advanced makes you... It is 4800 hertz. It says studio quality. There's nothing in there that specifically says digital though. That was weird. Did you enjoy that? Do you want that? I could probably bump it up to 32-bit. 4800 hertz. See what... no, we don't want to do that. Loud? That was very loud. That hurt. I don't know. I don't know what it would be. Do we want to continue doing this? Because it's... I'm not sure. What do you think? What are our thoughts? You know, the delay seems to be a pretty significant thing that we can't seem to get away from. OBS settings, audio. Yeah, and it was sharp too. Settings, audio. Sample rate is 48 kilohertz. I can't change it while I'm streaming. So I might need to go through that. Maybe it's because the channels are set to stereo. I don't know. But I can't change it without going to... without turning off stream. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. It makes no sense to me. I'm not sure what the issue is. I can't think of it. Should we keep watching or do we want to not keep watching because of the delay? What do you feel like? I can keep talking news. We've got tons of news to go through. We still haven't touched on the Christian Porter thing. There's loads with regards to the Christian Porter thing. Also, koala numbers fall after bushfires. Oh yeah, I'm playing with the cube. The issue is OBS is a dick. What really baffles me though, like what really, really gets me, is the fact that everything else is in sync. Everything else is working in sync, and I can see it working in sync on my end. Right? I can see the audio coming through properly. I can see my audio coming through properly. I can see everything appearing on here properly. And yet, like, everything is synced up on my end. It doesn't make any sense to me. If it's just directly streaming to Twitch, where's the delay coming from? If everything is synced up on my end, where's the delay coming from? There you go, Izzy. Have a good one. That's what I just don't understand technology. I don't get it. Do I know what version of OBS I have? Let's have a look. Not that. I want to be careful because I don't want to accidentally click stop streaming or whatever else. I am on 27.0.0. OBS Studio. I haven't been dropping frames tonight, no. But yeah, I'm on 27. Version 27, 64-bit. Gremlins. You're all my little gremlins. You're my little gremlins, ooh. Some turf in OBS headquarters having the best time of her life right now. My CPU could probably handle the extra workload of slobs, honestly, yeah. I don't know if it would make a difference, though. And I'd have to set everything up again. You know, which would be exhausting. Although I know you can, as far as I know, you can convert things over. You can just copy things directly over. Something X264 profile? I'm not sure. What do we want to do? We can continue watching the video if you guys want. There's another 16 minutes of this. It's interesting at the very least. I like this kind of stuff. If not, I'll save it to watch later. Gremlin doing a grem. Gremlins being mean to me. The gremlins who are at OBS headquarters. Could get a link to the video if you want, yeah. I want you guys to have you folks, not guys. You're not all guys. I've got to really stop with the fucking use of the word guys. I keep doing it. You folks. I want you folks to have the best experience you can here in the stream. I don't want you to have to put up with delays and shit like that. That's nonsense. It's not good. It's not a good thing. Okay? Anyways. Here we go. Let's do it this way. Because I haven't... You get two options. Aggressive Abby. I'm always aggressive. It's all that fucking testosterone running through my veins. As if women can't be aggressive. Maybe do other news then? We'll take a poll. I do want to do other news though. There's a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about. I did really want to talk about in particular, the Christian Porter stuff. And also BBC covered the hate raids on Twitch, which is rather interesting. You're going to head off, Wayward? Have a good one. Thank you so kindly for being here. Gonna read some Tikkun. Did I pronounce that correctly? Yeah, what testosterone? Last time I had a blood test, they said my testosterone levels were really low. Like, untraceably low. Settings, output tab, streaming tab, and that says profile, streaming, profile. I don't see profile in there. Video bitrate, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Should that be elevated maybe? Would that be the problem? No, that'd be... Oh yeah, output. No. That's output for... Fuck, I don't know. Thanks for stream. It was nice to have not doing your work. Well, I'm glad I could help you with that, Wayward. The curtain lights are cool. I'm glad you like them. They're pretty neat. They do need to have their batteries replaced though. They're slowly dying. When they've got new batteries in them, they're really bright. It's awesome. But I might just let that keep going until the batteries are completely dead. Completely dead. I need to buy some rechargeables, honestly. I haven't got rechargeable batteries, which would save me a ton, because I keep buying new batteries. It's stupid. Keep buying batteries to burn through them. How much are rechargeable AAAs? So you just want to continue with the thing. Okay. Okay, so rechargeable AAAs with a recharge pack is looking at $30 for a 4-pack by the look of it. Which is not terrible. I'd need 2 though, because I'd need 6 batteries. Is it worth it? Is output mode set to simple? Yes, it is. T levels have been a big fat 0 for years, and my estrogen levels are sky high, and I was worried about me because of it. Yeah, output mode is set to simple. Is that what it would be? Oh, hang on. What does this say? Hang on. There's a thing here in output. Oh, that's just about recordings. Don't know if they had it set to advanced. Ooh, I don't know. Thanks for the early YouTube flashback. But yeah, so like this is a 4-pack of batteries. Also, I've got $32 worth of stuff in my shopping cart on the Woolworths website. Okay. Anyways. Here's a pack on eBay that actually comes with what looks like 8 batteries, but are they AA's? Oh no, this one comes with 8 AAA batteries and 4 AA batteries that are all rechargeable. Huh. That's a $60 pack on eBay. I might give that a look. Anyway, yeah, I can't change any of the settings that would affect this. Yeah, I can't change any of the settings that would affect this particular thing. Oh, I've turned this off. Hang on. Where's screen capture? So yeah, enter loop. Yes, those. That's what came up. Yeah. I might grab those when I've got some money, but I did just spend $60 on Kena Bridge of Spirit, so I'm not going to spend another $60. Anyway, let's continue.
Should not expect to make money on the platform.
Yeah, I don't think it's really possible for young developers to succeed on the platform anymore. It's really hard to get into those top 200 games.
Sometimes I think of making Roblox games as trying to make a viral TikTok or a viral meme. It's really tricky. There's pretty much only one big market to shoot for on Roblox right now, and that's kids. If you don't hit that demographic just right, and if you don't get your gameplay loop just right, you fail.
Later in this video, we're going to get to why it benefits Roblox Corporation to have hundreds of thousands of developers making games for the platform, ignorant of the fact that the odds are stacked against them. But first, let's go back to that question of why it's so hard to make money on the Roblox marketplace, because we're not done. Let's imagine you actually made a game that beats the odds and becomes a small hit, and now your game has thousands of players who are making inexperienced purchases with Robux. Roblox takes a 30% cut of every transaction on their platform, and then you actually get paid the rest in Robux.
Or script currency.
Which of course isn't real money. You can only spend it in Roblox. You want to get paid. You want to withdraw that money as actual cash. Now,
this is kind of like if you were to buy subs on Twitch and the streamer would get sub tokens.
If any Roblox user wants to take Robux back out of their account and put it in their bank account as actual currency, the minimum withdrawal amount is 100,000 Robux, valued at around 1,000 US dollars. If you make $900 worth of Robux selling stuff you've made, your real life paycheck will be $0. Oh, and also you can't withdraw anything unless you're first paying for a Roblox monthly premium subscription. Now, let me make this part abundantly clear. This is a choice that Roblox Corporation has made. Entropia Universe, the world's only cash-based MMO that we did a video on last year, has a minimum withdrawal amount of 100 US dollars. In Second Life, it's just 10. US dollars. In making the minimum withdrawal amount so high, Roblox is just increasing the chances that you won't hit that cap, and so will just plow the money back into Roblox. Whether that's buying games or cosmetics or saving up to advertise your next game. Lots of Roblox developers even use their Robux to pay other Roblox developers to work on their game. And if they're not smart about how they pay these developers, Roblox will take a cut of that paycheck too. But for now, let's just imagine that you make a game and it's a hit, and you do make it to 100,000 Robux, so you're allowed to withdraw it, finally, to your real-life bank account. You see, Roblox buys Robux from users at a very different rate that it sells them. So withdrawing 100,000 Robux doesn't get you 1,000
What the fuck? Why?
350.
Anyway, minimum withdrawal limits arbitrarily high. Very nice for exploitation. Very convenient how that works. Hello, Violet. How are you going?
Think about it. If your assets in Roblox become substantially devalued only at the moment you take them out of the platform, why not keep them on the platform in case you need them one day? And so, tons of Robux don't ever make it off the platform. Instead, they just go round and round with Roblox taking cut after cut. And so, while on paper, Roblox developers get that 24.5% of a game's sales, in reality, it's even lower. If we look at Roblox's published records, we can read that for every $1 Roblox earns in bookings, only 17 cents make it back out of the ecosystem to developers. Or at least that's our best guess as to what developers are getting. The platform is actually so opaque that even full-time professional devs who've been doing this for
You've got another
years
idea about desync.
do not
What
know
is it?
what fraction of the pie they're taking home.
Like,
what's your idea about the desync? Because I'm curious. Is it still desynced? Money goes in, doesn't come back out, which is true of like most things that use money anyway. So, you know. By about 4 seconds. God damn it. So yeah, what other idea have you got? We can try to like brainstorm this off stream as well if we don't find a solution tonight. Try to go through it and see what it is, because yeah, it's a very specific issue. Like if I'm watching a video on OBS, why is there a delay? Let me hit up the Googs really quickly. There's an idea. Let's see if this comes up. YouTube stream delay. Why is it all fucking... I know why. How to fix audio delay on my stream. This might be it. If you ever tried watching a movie where the audio and video don't sync up properly, sound plays a split second before. For creators, pesky issue of audio delay is no less frustrating. But it's not about me having desync is the thing. Audio comes out ahead of time. All sound devices are set to 48 kilohertz or 4.1, which is true. What the fuck? It just scrolled back to the top of the article. Can HDMI cause audio lag? That shouldn't be the problem. This monitor that we're watching on is... there's a different kind of cable. I forget what it's called. Different kind of... more advanced cable than HDMI. Audio is sent in to leave a video and a signal transmission through HDMI. How do I fix my audio delay? Locate the audio source that's out of sync. Yep. DisplayPort, that's it, yes. So it's the desktop audio. Or maybe it's actually... Well, no, it's not. It'd have to be desktop audio that's out of sync. If use device timestamps is... Okay, so in OBS, in the audio mixer for your sources... hang on, if I go to... Where would it be? Tools? No. Hello, Leah. How you going? Audio mixer. Hit the cog icon the audio is going through. Advanced audio properties. Is this it? Active sources only. The panel to the right of your sources. So what do I go? Scene transitions? Or to the right? Yeah, to the right. That's scene transitions there. Let me get rid of that one. Hang on. Let me go back to... Oh, not that one. This one. Ah, wrong one. Well, no, that's the right one. We want this. Let me see. If we go to, what are we looking at? In the audio mixer, hit the cog icon next to the audio that's going through, which is this one, desktop. Hit properties. It says use device timestamps is on. It is on, yes. What does that do? Which I could have done from this panel anyway, because its desktop audio is always on. What have you got for me? I'm fidgeting, by the way. I don't know if you can hear me fidgeting with the cube or not. Try turning that off. Alright, let's see if that works. Properties, use device timestamps. Why is that exactly? What does that do? Let's see if that does anything. Let's just try that. Okay. Let's have a gander.
You just have to roughly estimate it based off of like those exchange rates, and that's all you get.
Gravy? Who's young
And
gravy?
by the way, the lack of regulation in today's tech sector is seeing a lot of historically illegal
It works? What the
practices coming
fuck?
back again.
How does the... What is this magic?
With a new look of paint. Roblox
Tech
paying
support
people in
stream.
Robux is
Thank you,
very,
Ziwa.
very similar to historical mining and logging camps in the United States paying people in company scrip. Scrip was currency invented and manufactured by these companies that could only be used to buy things within the company's camp. For example, in the stores that they would build. The mining camps like paying people in scrip for the same reasons that Roblox does. One, it means workers spend their money at the company, which makes the company richer. Two, workers become more afraid of breaking company rules because companies can take away their ability to spend script, essentially confiscating their paycheck. And three,
We can have a link to the video if you want. Yes, you can. Here we go. Let me grab this for you. Mining GPUs, yeah. There's a video by Gravel Institute about Bitcoin that I want to look at, actually.
harder for workers to quit their jobs.
You might need to go to hospital. Oh my god. Lupa, please. I hope you're okay. I hope you're alright. If you do need to go to hospital, please. I mean, I don't know what to even say in this circumstance. I hope you're alright, yeah. Please stay safe. Anyway, I didn't mean to close that.
Because the moment they do, they get poorer. Unbelievably, these camps would have booths where you could exchange your script for US dollars, but the exchange rate hurt the worker, just like Roblox. Script so
This is on
messes
topic
with
for what we were
workers'
talking about
ability
before.
to make money that it was banned in the United States in 1938. And until we legislate script again in the digital age, Roblox is going to keep paying developers with pretend money. Now, when the question of
Okay, without being a bit TMI, let's just say I discovered blood somewhere I ought not to be seeing blood that isn't just outside my body. Oh, okay. Okay.
Roblox is treating its designers fairly comes up, and it does come up. You can find long threads on the official forums with older developers banding together to ask or really beg for a more fair profit share. You always see the same two things. You'll see Roblox posting a super corporate and disinterested response that sort of ends the discussion without having it, but you'll also see people saying that devs asking for more money is silly, because Roblox has never been a profitable company. It loses money every single year, and so there's no more money to give out. That is bollocks. But don't take my word for it. Take the word of the
Sprinkle,
market
how you
analysts
going?
who have decided that as a money-making machine, Roblox
Currently
is worth
checking
somewhere around the value.
Mayo Clinic symptoms of kidney infections before deciding if I should call the after hours doc. I hope you're alright. I really hope you're alright. That Lego game. Yeah, we're talking about Roblox at the moment. Totally waiting for the desync to hit again.
Of 7 Ubisofts. The idea.
Yeah, how are you, Sprinkle? What are you up to? What's been going on?
This company has no more money to give out is a repulsive one. Roblox is just doing the same thing as companies like Spotify, Uber, and Airbnb, something known as platform capitalism. All of these companies have business models based on unsustainable expansion, always moving into more countries, hiring more staff, increasing their expenses until they control the entire market sector and all of its data, and can use this monopoly to make incredible money, as we saw with Facebook and Amazon. If Roblox wasn't losing money year after year, its investors could reasonably turn around and say, why not? And so, when Roblox's developers come cap in hand asking for more revenue, there's never any left, even though the platform has 200 million monthly users and the CEO is a billionaire. Because if Roblox were to give more money to developers, that's less money it could spend growing the platform and becoming a monopoly. We reached out to Roblox Corporation for an interview or comment on how they treat their young developers. They did not reply to us.
Of course they didn't. Why would they?
Let's take a moment to put a human face on all of this. Was it harder than you expected to make Robux with your levels?
That is definitely a big yes.
This is Emil. Emil is 11, and he got his parents to send him to a special summer camp where he could learn to code for Roblox, and then he made a game all by himself. And the game flopped, and he ended up sounding like a disenchanted 30-year-old veteran in an 11-year-old's body.
Even though Roblox says to encourage you to actually make games, the likelihood of you making a successful game is basically zero. You always compete with the people that have lots of money, and like, it'd be a problem if I showed you something because I'm trying to...
No, please, show me whatever you like.
This is like a big game developer that has lots of success. Like, the amount of people that they have means the bigger the success is.
Hello, little red bunny. How you doing? Roblox sounds like a shitty company. Well, yeah. Yeah, the kid's very well spoken. Do you have someone in the house? Yeah, like that's a good idea. Brain fog and fatigue are my default setting lately, so I have my cane in the hospital is nearby. I hope you can get to the hospital. This kid is the spirit animal of every game dev dropout, which is honestly really upsetting, like when we look at it in that context. Just saw the photo of your dress again. It's a very nice photo, and it's a very nice dress, and you look very nice in Iziwa. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty daunting shit.
And that means that they get a giant spike. And even if the spike lowers, they still go back up, and it's just an infinite cycle of spikes that go up and down, up and down. When you're a small game developer, you'll have that spike, you come all the way down, you stay down.
Were you tempted to spend Robux on advertising your game after you made it?
That I didn't even have Robux, but I wish I did, because then I could advertise it and maybe have a chance.
Emil's disappointment?
Okay, my daughter plays Roblox, and she's expressed an interest in making games, and she's expressed an interest in Robux and all these kinds of things. And I think I'm going to have a chat to her other parent about, like, as far as I know, it sounds as though my daughter's got some kind of a subscription to it, because she was talking to me about how she gets a Robux allowance or something once a month, like she gets given a certain amount. I think I might, unless that's just a thing that you get with just having an account, I don't know. But I might have to, chat to her other parent about this, because I do not like the way this sounds, and I do not like the idea of, like, my daughter wants to get into game dev. Like, she's actually interested in it. I'd rather she go a route that's not through Roblox, of course. I'd rather her get into something that's more legitimate in terms of coding and game design.
It wasn't to do with whether Roblox's revenue...
I might even show her this video. Hell, why not? She'd probably understand it. She's a smart kid.
Fair. He hadn't really thought about that concept. He was just upset that Roblox only shows its users games that have...
Introduce her to RPG Maker. I might have to, like, reformat my laptop. I'll back up my laptop and reformat it and give it to her. Robux per month subscription. Yeah. So that worries me. That actually worries me. And yeah, I might get her into RPG Maker. I might set her up with a Steam account and get RPG Maker on there. Yeah.
Tons of fans. But the thing is, Roblox benefits from giving a very small
Game
fraction
Engine, Unity,
of its developers almost all of the money. Because those successful devs can then keep updating their popular games, or they can make new games, or they can go full-time and hire people to work for them. They can even become celebrities.
I wanted to make this video to really tell you my story and give you my honest thoughts on the 8th annual Bloxy Awards.
And interestingly, the only concession Roblox has made in recent years to do with giving developers more money gives even more money to the developers who were already making money. Experience.
As if anybody could be shocked. The people who've already got the money or the people who are already making money are making more and more of the money. Shocking! Never would have guessed. Never hurts to just call emergency numbers and get advice, or they'll transfer you to an after-hours nurse or doctor phone service. Exactly, yes. Anywhere from $7 to $29 a month. Fuck. The PGE is more designed at teaching coding than anything else and isn't sold. Ton of accessible tools for game dev like Godot or Unity, which teach you concepts and skills outside their ecosystems.
Based payouts is a new sliver of Roblox's revenue that goes to the games that Roblox subscribers play for the longest. This is also Roblox Corporation tacitly encouraging its developers to make games that are addictive rather than fun, but the way that Roblox encourages its users to make games that are manipulative would be a whole other video, and I'm going to stay on topic. Here's games professor and labour activist Ty Underwood on why Roblox would be trying to empower its most successful developers and ensure the rest have no power at all.
Comparing it to YouTube, you and I know of many YouTube channels where it's like, oh, well, I'm actually a boss with employees now, and so are all the top Roblox games. You can't organize bosses. Their interests do not align with workers. The workers' power comes from having the ability.
We've been surprisingly on this topic all night, I think.
To stop production, and all bosses everywhere, it is against their interest to stop production.
That does track with my experience. I reached out to one extraordinarily successful Roblox developer for this piece, and they did agree to speak to me on the condition that we didn't reveal their identity, saying, quote, "Despite some fair criticisms, we have a good working relationship with Roblox, and I wouldn't necessarily want to be directly featured or quoted in a video critical of their platform cut." I asked that same anonymous developer what message they'd like to get out to Roblox's young developers. They told me, "On Roblox, many young devs crunch and burn out. They're not privy to ongoing dev community discussions about healthy working practices. My advice would be to not overwork. Don't feel pressured to work long days, especially as a young person. And lower your expectations. There are millions of experiences on Roblox and only a handful become top games. Make sure to have fun even if only a few people play your game." There's just one problem.
That seems like a good advice for streaming as well. There are a lot of people who tend to take the avenue, a lot of people who get into streaming, both kids and adults alike, get into it with this notion of, in order to succeed, I need to put in as many hours as possible, and they end up losing sight of whatever they were originally getting into streaming for, and end up burning themselves out thinking, if I stream longer hours, more people are going to have a chance to see my streams, I'll get a bigger audience or something like that. And that, of course, leads down the path of getting subs and bits and yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I think this is also brought up in the video. Any skills you gain by developing Roblox games are only useful in Roblox, which is, yeah, of course, entirely by design. If the little one wants to do content creation and game dev, there's a lesson she'll definitely... Yeah, true.
Problem with getting those messages out to young game developers. Roblox is a publicly traded company now, which means it has a legal obligation to maximize profits. And kids working too hard with unreasonable expectations isn't bad for the company. And this is the heart of Roblox's success. In convincing its...
So child labor game dev, child slave labor game dev. We're off to a great... company, town, slave labor game dev, child slave... Fucking hell. Maybe let's not with Roblox. Maybe let's not.
Young users, that making money on the platform is possible. It gets hundreds of thousands of young people pouring their imagination and spirit into making the next big Roblox success story. And while by my estimation, 99.9% of them flame out and make no money at all, that doesn't affect Roblox's bottom line one bit. Here's Genya again talking about his experience in the Roblox official internship program.
For instance, in my class, I was the only person that released a game, and that game was the only game from the whole class that actually did well. And we had like 7,000 people online. And so it's kind of rare for those games to actually work.
But then if some young wonderkind does make the next great thing on Roblox, there is nothing to stop an older team of developers taking the idea, refining it, re-releasing it, and then advertising it. But whether young developers find success on Roblox or not, the platform benefits from young developers training themselves up before they've realized that the odds are stacked against them. And once they've done that, they're that much less likely to walk away.
You can't take your game anywhere else. If I'm on Steam, theoretically, I could move my game to some, Epic or try to make a deal with Apple or something like that. But once you're in Roblox, it is impossible to extract your game or your work or even your skills from Roblox because it's such a idiosyncratic system to work with.
And this is so infuriating for me because if Roblox was actually operating with care for its young audience, it could be a great thing for the games industry. Free tools to get kids messing around and making stuff that their friends can come and play, also for free? That's awesome! That anonymous developer who spoke to me told me that they wished Roblox had been around when they were a kid and trying and failing to make games in Flash. But that's not what makes Roblox money. What makes Roblox money is empowering kids to become workers with unreasonable expectations of what they can achieve on this platform in a way that would be illegal if it wasn't happening online. So what can we do about any of this?
The question of whether or not it is like possible to do labor organizing with children productively is like a really bizarre question with much older young people, like young adults, who I'm just like only now introducing the idea that your boss may have interests that diverge from your own in some cases, right? And this is mind-blowing. I think the answer in this case is that it should just simply be regulated that Roblox cannot have people sell within their games, right? If their audience is largely children.
Such a dystopian sentence, labor organization with kids. It really is like the moment he said that, and I get like he's coming from a good point. He's coming from a positive perspective here, but yeah, realistically speaking, it's such a regressive thing to look back. And I have done a bit of research recently into like child labor of the 1800s and stuff like that, and you know, it all, like, obviously these kids aren't mining coal or whatever, but it's still, I think perhaps maybe the more nefarious, not the more nefarious aspect, but at least a nefarious aspect of this, which has been touched on in this and has been touched on by numerous other commentators and critics of the games industry, is the industry itself already weaponizes passion and transforms it into burnout for the sake of creating whatever the next big thing is. And that's exactly what's happening here, and the fact that it's happening to kids as young as 11 and more than likely even younger is, I don't even have a word for it. It's, as a parent, it's horrific, you know, to think that my child likes the idea of being in game dev, and I want her to pursue that passion. If she thinks she can make something that can make money, that can gain an audience, that can bring joy and happiness to those that play her game, then yes, I want to encourage her to do that as much as I possibly can, but not in Roblox. Holy shit, not in Roblox. Roblox becomes the catalyst of a new generation of anti-capitalists. That could be the positive at the very least. Given how popular this game is, if it radicalizes kids and turns them into anti-cap, fuck yes. That can only be a positive, right? But at the same time, it comes at a pretty significant cost of burning out what could be the next generation of great game devs. Game publishers are robbing this generation of talent who become jaded. Yes, exactly. The exploitation of artists never seems to cease. Exploitative quicksand dressed as a video game is a good way to look at it. At least we get shit wages, they just get homework. They don't even get paid for exchanging their mental health for money like us older people, pretty much. Roblox anti-cap propaganda, heck yes. Let's do it.
And that's not usually what I reach for, because top-down regulation doesn't build worker power. But like in this case, it's like they're kids. It's what's going on here. It's a very weird and scary situation.
And what about Emil, our 11-year-old game developer? What does he think should be done? Do you think that kids should be encouraged to try and sell things on Roblox?
I think that kids should be encouraged, but they shouldn't be lied to about how easy it is, because it's not easy.
But the one thing we know for sure is that Roblox is not going to legislate itself in a way that affects its ability to make money. Roblox is going to continue doing everything it can to scratch revenue out of its young, vulnerable audience, no matter whether they're getting fair pay, whether it's good for their health, or whether they're fully empowered to walk away. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. If you enjoyed it, please do share it, because, well, the more awareness we raise of this issue, the more pressure we apply to Roblox to be better. But also please share it, because frankly, it took absolutely ages to make. And for that, we have to thank the supporters of the People Make Games Patreon. If you believe
yes, support them. Okay, yes, we know. We get to the part of the video where they start doing their whole spiel about support them on Patreon. And if you enjoyed that video, of course, go check out People Make Games, which is, yeah, this. Again, here's the link to the video if you want. Yep, there we go. I swear I linked it before, but anyway. But yeah, I've given them a sub at the very least. The video has got 770,985 views, so it's done pretty well. But that was good. I did not realize how nefarious Roblox was, but as somebody who is well aware of the games industry and how it operates. I'm also not surprised by any stretch of the imagination. And if nothing else, it has given me something to talk to my daughter about with regards to the fact that she is playing Roblox and her interest in game development and all those kinds of things. I'd like to steer her in the direction of developing something like Stardew Valley, if at all possible, you know, where it's a game made independently, not inside an existing game engine, or not inside an existing game, I suppose you could say. Knew it was a little sketch, but gosh. But this is the thing, is like we look at so many things that we take for granted and we say, oh yeah, there's probably something a bit dodgy about this thing or that thing. But we really need to put it, I think unfortunately we do have to take this very specific pessimistic attitude to way more stuff. And when I say pessimistic, I think we need to look at much more significant criticisms of virtually everything we consume. All the fucking time. There are so many people who just take whatever they consume for granted and don't criticize any of it. And yeah, XNA is a bit antiquated. Microsoft killed it. Thank you for the head pats, Nicole. Or N7 Cole. I don't know. How do you pronounce that? N7. Hello there, by the way. 32 and my life has been a large series of I like this work, but the industry is trash / mistreats people. Yeah. It's fucking awful. And it's why I'm honestly, I find myself demotivated some days, especially with the treatment of creators on this platform. I feel like I can draw a lot of similarities between what's going on there and what's going on here on Twitch. And, well, it's honestly significantly better here on Twitch compared to Roblox, even though it's an apples to oranges kind of situation, like Roblox being a video game platform, so to speak, and Twitch being a streaming service. But you know, we can definitely look at the way that creators on Twitch are treated, both with regards to harassment policies and the fact that they take 50% of our revenue, or at least 50% of our subscriptions. I don't know, I'm pretty sure bits are 1-to-1, like if you cheer 100 bits, I get 100 US cents for that, but you pay more up front as the person buying the bits. As far as I recall, but that's neither here nor there. At any rate, streamers on Twitch, there is that payout threshold thing as well. If you are an affiliate streamer or a partnered streamer, you still need to make at least $100 USD before you can cash out, or rather before Twitch will automatically pay you out on the middle of the month. So yeah, it's an Amazon company. Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to be surprised by any of this kind of thing, but it's It really makes one wonder, right? Because, you know, I find that what I'm doing here, and I think a lot of other streamers on this platform and a lot of YouTube creators and a lot of people on, say, TikTok or Instagram or wherever else, like whatever other content creation platforms there are, where you can turn it into a career. And, like, content creation is a career at this point. Obviously, there are people in this space who are making significant income and are turning it into a job. They're paying their bills with it. And I don't make enough that I could live off this, but it's certainly at least a job. I can consider this a job. I make enough income that I can consider this a job. But like with any job, we should look at it from the perspective of, like, things can always be better. Things should always be better. And what was I going to say? Like, you look at, we come back around to, like, the real jobs thing before, and I realize looking back now that, you know, the work I was putting in, I was being paid a reasonable wage, but there were certainly so many things wrong with that workplace that, you know, when you're in the actual, I kind of wish I think I was a member of the union, but I wish I had become like an organized member of the union or whatever it was, where I was like actually one of the people on the union arguing for change and all those kind of things. Glad to hear my nibblings don't play Roblox. Well, that's good. Is that really what we're calling them now? Nieces and nephews and nibblings? Okay. Or like whatever you call it. I suppose we don't have another word for it, do we? We don't have like another gender neutral word for it. 1080p, Abby, fuck yes. This is, yeah, it's where things become difficult. Is like, you want to unionize when you're in a job, because unionization gives power to the workforce. You get the opportunity to speak your mind and argue for better working circumstances, better working conditions, better wages, better treatment, and all those kinds of things. But by the same token, unionization requires a lot of effort on the parts of the workforce. It requires getting everybody to work together. And the unfortunate circumstance is that big companies, especially, like, how are you going to, like was mentioned in the video, how are you going to unionize children? How are you going to get, a labor force together of kids who are making these games on Roblox to organize for change? Like, it's an absurd concept. I love cooking, but I see restaurants are hiring $1 an hour. Gender neutral term from the 50s. I did not know that, really? There we go. I thought it was a relatively new term. But anyway. At any rate. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are now, facing the reality that, regrettably, well, not regrettably for the companies themselves, but companies that have been underpaying their staff for a long time, living under the circumstances that, like pre-pandemic circumstances, where they could seemingly afford to get away with paying their workers less because of the way society was structured earlier. Things were a lot more rushier than all the pandemics and the lockdowns allowed things to slow down a little bit, and people began to analyze, oh hey, we've been getting paid like shit, and the conversation has shifted more recently towards minimum wage and what people should actually be paid. And now people are beginning to realize their worth as workers and are saying, well, you know what, if you're not going to pay me a proper wage, I'm going to find a job that will. And as a result, there are businesses that are going out of business because they refuse to pay their workers a livable wage, which those workers do deserve. 13 sick was useless. Didn't even get to talk to an actual person. Booking the soonest GP appointment you possibly can. Oh my god, Looper, stay safe. How did industrial child labor get stopped? Good question. Let's do anti-cap propaganda in Roblox. Organize in Roblox. Unfortunately, it seems like the only way, if you were to do some sort of anti-capitalist propaganda in Roblox, the only way it would get any traction is if you were to pay the Roblox Corporation to get it some promotion to advertise the game. Anyway, how did child labor end? I mean, it didn't really, did it? Child labor laws history. This is regarding specifically America, if I'm not mistaken, but you can use this as a sort of a context here. Child labor in the United States. The Puritan work ethic of the 13 colonies. Don't scroll up when I'm reading the article. Thank you. Fuck off. Ooh. I'm just gonna say, recipe cheese and bacon damper. Fuck yeah. I mean, I'm down. It's not related, but Child labor, or the use of children as servants and apprentices, has been practiced throughout most of human history, but reached a zenith during the Industrial Revolution. Miserable working conditions, including crowded and unclean factories, a lack of safety codes or legislation, and long hours were the norm. Crucially, children could be paid less, were less likely to organize into unions, and their small stature enabled them to complete tasks in factories or mines that would be challenging for adults. Working children were unable to attend school, creating a cycle of poverty that was difficult to break. 19th century reformers and labor organizers sought to restrict child labor and improve working conditions to uplift the masses, but it took the Great Depression, a time when Americans were desperate for employment, to shake long-held practices of child labor in the United States. Well, I suppose, yeah, you can promote with Twitch streamers too, so we make anti-cap propaganda in Roblox and hopefully get some anti-cap streamers to promote, and the algorithm will do the rest. Fingers crossed. But that would require putting in effort. Okay, the Puritan work ethic of the 13 colonies and their founders valued hard work over idleness, and this ethos applied to children as well. Through the first half of the 1800s, child labor was an essential part of the agricultural and handicraft economy of the United States. Children worked on family farms and as indentured servants for others. To learn a trade, boys began their apprenticeships between the ages of 10 and 14. Ever the enemy of it? Yeah, true. I mean, it could happen, but I mean, I'm not a Roblox creator is also the thing. So, but it's a good discussion to have. The Industrial Revolution saw the rise of factories in need of workers. Children were ideal employees because they could be paid less, were often smaller stature, so could attend to more minute tasks, and were less likely to organize and strike against their pitiable working conditions. Which is still the case in excuse me, which is still the case in like third world countries where child slave labor laws do not exist. Before the Civil War, women and children played a critical role in American manufacturing, though it was still a relatively small part of the economy. Advances in manufacturing techniques after the war increased the number of jobs, therefore child laborers. Did you know in 1900, 18% of all American workers were under the age of 16? Immigration and child labor. Immigration to the United States led to a new source of labor and child labor. When the Irish potato famine struck in the 1840s, Irish immigrants moved to fill lower-level factory jobs. In the 1880s, groups from southern and west and eastern Europe arrived, providing a new pool of child workers. So here we go, child labor reform. So here we go. So what about... let me have a look here, such as turning off screen lock, checking the swipe to... Oh, hang on, I can wait. I can get in tomorrow, not my usual GP, but this can't wait. Kidney infections can fuck me up if I leave it too long. Turning off screen lock, checking the swipe to call emergency lock screen thing. We're having an audio prompt to call emergency number. Also eat or drink something. Oh, true, yeah, have your phone ready to call emergency. True. Foot stream. Educational reformers of the mid-19th century attempted to convince the public that a primary school education was a necessity if the nation were to advance as a whole. Several states established a minimum wage for labor and requirements for school attendance, though many of these laws were full of loopholes that were readily exploited by employers hungry for cheap labor. And that's kind of the case that's happened with slave labor as well. It's, as it stands right now, like, technically in the United States at least, which is what we're technically learning about. Technically. As we're learning about right now. The laws around slave labor in the United States specifically state that, you know, slave labor is not just allowed to happen unless a certain person is a criminal in prison, is a prisoner, is in jail, basically, has been convicted of a crime and has been locked away. Then slave labor is like hunky-dory, go ahead. Yes, Lupa, I hope you're okay. Goodness me, I hope you're okay. Note the Irish potato famine was a genocide. The British literally shipped food overseas away from starving people. Yes, exactly. And we could stand to lose. We could stand not to lose. We could stand to learn more about that as well. Excuse me. Beginning in 1900, efforts to regulate or eliminate child labor became central to social reform in the United States. The National Child Labor Committee, organized in 1904, and state child labor committees led the charge. These organizations employed flexible methods in the face of slow progress. They pioneered tactics like investigations by experts, the use of photography to spark outrage at the poor conditions of children at work, and persuasive lobbying efforts. They used written pamphlets, leaflets, and mass mailings to reach the public. Even if I wake up in the middle of the night, I can get my Google Nest to call by voice command. Good, good. From 1902 to 1915, child labor committees emphasized reform through state legislatures. And I think, like, a lot of this that we're reading about here, like, I'm an Australian content creator, what little I've glanced at with regards to child labor laws in Australia is largely the same kind of thing happened here as well. Because we did have the same issue with child slave labor in Australia. Or child labor. Depends how you define it, you know. You could argue that a lot of these labor conditions were slavish, but depending on what definition of slavery you're going by. And I mean, children shouldn't be laboring, is kind of the thing. Child labor committees emphasized reform through state legislatures. Many laws restricting child labor were passed as a part of the progressive reform movement of this period, but many southern states resisted, leading to the decision to work for a federal child labor law. While Congress passed such laws in 1916 and 1918, the Supreme Court declared them unconstitutional. Okay. The opponents of child labor sought a constitutional amendment authorizing federal child labor legislation and passed it in 1924, though states were not keen to ratify it. The conservative political climate of the 1920s, together with opposition from farm and church organizations fearing increased federal power over children, acted as roadblocks. There's always some concern, isn't there? There were a bunch of children convicts. They wanted permanent immigrants. Do we sacrifice a goat or Jeff Bezos for Lupa's continued health? Sacrifice Jeff Bezos. If I recall correctly, the Irish population only recently got back to where it was before then, which sounds about right, yeah. I'm pretty sure I read something like that. The Great Depression left thousands of Americans without jobs and led to sweeping reforms under Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal that focused on increasing federal oversight of the workplace and giving out-of-work adults jobs, thereby creating a powerful motive to remove children from the workforce. Almost all the codes under the National Industrial Recovery Act served to reduce child labor. The Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 set a national minimum wage for the first time and a maximum number of hours for workers in interstate commerce. and also placed limitations on child labor. In effect, the employment of children under 16 years of age was prohibited in manufacturing and mining. And minimum wage in America is something. I want to look into minimum wage in Australia as well, though. I really want to click on this cheese and bacon damper recipe. Might look into getting the ingredients for that. Automation and education. Changing attitudes towards work and social reform weren't the only factors. Reducing child labor, the invention of improved machinery that mechanized many of the repetitive tasks previously given to children, led to a decrease of children in the workforce. Semi-skilled adults took their place for more complex tasks. Please do. Please read about minimum wage. Is that what you mean? Oh, you mean the damper. Yeah, I'm sure you wanted me to read more about minimum wage. Okay. I'm a fucking idiot. Education underwent reforms too. Many states increasing the number of years of schooling required to hold certain jobs lengthened the school year and began to more strictly enforce truancy laws. In 1949, Congress amended the child labor law to include businesses not covered in 1938 like commercial agriculture, transportation, communications, and public utilities. I'm a hot idiot. I will agree with that. Here's a flex for you. It's just a little flex because I'm tired, I'm sore, and I'm wearing... Here we go. Let me do it this way. Us. You get a bit of bicep in there. You can get some more bicep later. Okay. Although child labor has been significantly stalled in the United States, thank you so kindly for the head pats, it lingers in certain areas of the economy like agriculture where economically impoverished migrant workers are more difficult to regulate. Employers in the garment industry have turned to the children of illegal immigrants in an effort to compete with imports from low-wage nations. Despite laws limiting the number of hours of work children and teens still attending school, the increasing cost of education means many are working longer hours to make ends meet. State-by-state enforcement of child labor laws varies to this day. There we go. A little bit about child labor in U.S. history, I suppose, and how it has been essentially rescinded and all of those things. So, yeah. The GOAT is innocent. Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan, yeah. That took me a second. And I was thinking like, wait, Michael Jackson? No. Which, I mean, I'm sure some people would refer to Michael Jackson as the GOAT of, like, you know, the king of pop sort of thing. But that's not what you meant. Anywho, there we go. There we have that. So that's a little bit of education for us, I suppose. We're learning things. I mean, this is kind of stuff that I vaguely already knew, but not really. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't know the finer details. But maybe we can look into more stuff like that specifically with regards to Australian history. Might be worth reading those kind of things so we have a bit more of a context for what's going on in Australia, I suppose. But, I mean, how do we look at these particular issues and not consider them in their worldwide impact context? Because obviously, like, child labor, I keep going to say child slave labor, which is a thing that's still going on today, of course, but I keep going to say child slave labor. Generally speaking, you know, like, child labor is something that has affected the world over and still affects a significant portion of the world today. So it is important to look at the history of it and what country is Roblox ran from? America, I think. Never covered what's her name. What's her name or what's his name? Because Christian Porter is the guy we were going to talk about. We did talk about Lauren Southern earlier. We were going to cover Christian Porter at some point, but, you know, I'm also very tired. I might end the stream early. San Mateo, California, so America. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, like, it's a bit late. I think we might put off the Christian Porter investigation until tomorrow, or discuss the protests, whatever the protests were about. The lockdown protests in Melbourne, I think it was. We might look at that tomorrow. But I think right now I'm pretty stuffed, honestly, so I might call it. And go and raid somebody. People have been telling me to raid this person for a while. And I might just do that. Real Radholm. Oh, well, they're talking about the Melbourne protests right now. So let's go to Real Radholm. Because you folks have been recommending them to me for a while now. So let's go do that. And tomorrow, yeah, we'll be we'll be streaming at the usual time, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna go get some rest because I think, yeah, like, my, what's it called? They're doing some miniature painting, which is really cool, while also talking about these Melbourne protests. Live vibing. We'll be doing some living, some sliving, some sliving. Anyway. We'll be live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We could talk about the protests if you want. We could talk about Christian Porto. I've been meaning to do mainly Australian news stream for a while. I just haven't got around to it. I was supposed to organize my stream days into separate specific topics each day of the week. I haven't done that yet. I can't figure it out in my head. Can't orchestrate it. Too much effort. Too much organization. Let's not bother with that right now. I'm tired. I feel semi-drunk because of painkillers. Anyway, you've all been lovely. I love your faces. Remember, always, be kind to yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I'm looking at you.